to episode 207 of Coffee and Co-Read, your source for all things literary with Catherine
and Kristen, where we believe there's nothing better than a hot coffee and an awesome book. Join us for our virtual book club where we take one book a month and dive into all the drama, adventure, and romance we can find. Hi, Catherine.
Hey, Kristen.
So, because this book and this, I guess, duet, I'm going to call it, focuses a lot on the vampire side of things and the werewolf side of things, we thought we'd do something fun today and say, would you rather, vampire or werewolf? And I already know what you're going to say, but let's see if everybody else knows too, and just go for it.
Yeah.
So, would you rather have a vampire boyfriend or a werewolf boyfriend?
I was going to ask if you were, like, qualifying it. Is it like, would you rather be? Would you rather have? Would you rather see?
Also, fair warning that I do, if you listened last week, you heard that, like, my voice disappeared as we went along. It is not great. It's better, but not fantastic. So, like, I'm so sorry in advance.
It might happen again.
Good.
Yeah, so I have to go vampire.
Yeah, I knew that.
Vampires own my heart and soul. There's, at one point in my life, and I'm still debating it, I wanted to get vampire fangs tattooed. Not fangs, like the imprints of being bitten. So
where would you get that tattoo, Catherine?
Inner thigh.
Yeah.
Get it on my inner thigh. Yeah. I don't know, something about, I guess, emo gothy, like, just vampire goes into that, and I love all of that stuff. And the fact that I'm, like, semi-afraid of dogs, depending on the dog, because now my family has 15,000 of them.
Yeah.
AKA 3. But I'm not afraid of them, because they're just little shits. But, not that they're really... They could probably do damage, but I just am not going to think about that.
Yeah. Do you mind if I bring up, so, like, this story, because, like, you used to tell me that you were afraid of dogs, and I was like, yeah, afraid of dogs, sure. Like, I believed you, but I didn't really understand the level to which you are afraid of dogs. And, like, so you and I don't even know if you remember this.
When it happened? I sometimes do, sometimes don't. But I think it, for some reason, I feel like it came up not that long ago.
Well, maybe. So you and I were walking downtown in our city. And it was like a nice sunny day. And we were just, I don't know if we were going for coffee or what we were doing. And all of a sudden, a dog.
Out of nowhere.
Like, we were rounding a corner in front of, like, a coffee shop. And a guy had a dog with him, and the dog ran at us.
Not on a leash, and was barking. And I grew up with dogs, so I was like, ooh, puppy! Like, I did not take it in an aggressive way at all. Yeah.
You, however, did.
Yes.
And you, like, were laughing when the guy came up really quickly and said, I'm really sorry, and, like, the dog didn't do anything to us, just,
no.
Like, the guy got him quite quickly, and he said, hey, like, I'm really sorry, and you were, like, sort of laughing, I guess, like, it's okay, and, like, laughing, and then he walked away, and then I looked at you, and you were crying.
Yes.
So, like, you were genuinely so afraid, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize how scared you actually were of dogs. Like, you were really scared. And I felt so bad that you got scared of that dog. And I felt, like, sad that...
Yeah. I was laughing, and I was crying, and I was like, I don't even know why I'm crying now, because the dog is gone. I was like, this is stupid at this point.
No.
But yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So I can see, obviously, for reasons, choosing vampires over werewolves.
Yeah.
I am so torn in my choice because, like, vampires hold such a, I think, nostalgic piece for both of us.
Yeah.
right? Like, we both grew up on, like, Twilight,
Blood and Chocolate.
Blood and Chocolate, VC Andrews. I know
Yeah.
you lent me a couple of those, and, like, some of those were so good. So, like, it's funny because, like, we grew up on that stuff. Kristen Cast, another one, like,
PC Cast, they wrote the book together, didn't they?
Yes, yeah. I think so. I think they're, like, a mother-daughter team.
Yeah, there's a million of them now.
Yeah, there's so many. And part of me wants to, like, try them again, but I also feel like it'll be another City of Bones situation.
True.
Anyway, so, like, both of us have this, like, nostalgic piece to vampire fiction, where it got popular in our, like, teen years, but there's also something to be said for, like, a werewolf. Like, that whole idea of, like, insta-love and, like, being part of a pack and, like, having everybody back you up no matter what. Like, not even the romantic piece to it, but just having that, like, sort of that group aspect of, like, we have a people that will go to bat for you and will protect you no matter what.
I feel like werewolves may have been the first time that I experienced mates in books too.
Yeah, because I think
Fae is more recent. I feel like a lot of the Fae books.
Yeah, 100%. And vampires don't tend to do the mate thing. Like, sometimes they do, but it's not as common. So I love the idea of mates and the idea of, like, touch her and you're dead, like, she's mine, that sort of thing, which I feel is a bit more prominent in werewolf sort of quote-unquote lore. And, just, like, the whole idea of, like, marking someone to be like, you're mine. There's something that really gets me with that sort of piece.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's something about the vampires too. Like, vampires is different because there's more often than not you could become one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the werewolf stuff, it's like, oh, you're with a human and it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, you just live with a human.
Well, yeah, because a lot of werewolves, well, not a lot, I don't know, it depends on the lore, but they don't seem to have the same immortality, so it's fine.
Yes.
If you're with a human. But for vampires, it's like, if you can't turn me, we are crossing in the night.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just, like, it's so hard to decide, but I do think, especially lately, I haven't been able to find vampire stuff that is
exactly what I want.
Yes, it's not as satisfying as, like, it's a lot easier for me to find werewolf or shifter stuff that
scratches the itch.
Yeah. Not that itch. Get your minds out the gutter, people. But yeah, so, like, I don't know, if anybody has any good recommendations of, like, good vampire stuff, like, send it our way.
Yeah.
Because we would love it.
Yeah. Really looking for some good vampire stuff. I find I'll go on KU and I'll just try to find something every now and then, and I'm like, no, this isn't it.
Yeah. I 100%, I do the same thing. So, funny enough that we're having this conversation today, I was at the gym, like, earlier, and you all know my dirty little, like, obsession, my guilty pleasure of those
dirty
like
little options.
Those real short, like, terrible based on like AO3 content or, like, Wattpad content, like these movies that are filmed on, like, a cell phone. So I got an ad for one, so I watched it, and it was called Kissed by Claw and Fang. And it was about a girl that goes to school, and of course she's treated terribly by the quarterback and the bitch bully girl. Like, they literally are like, oh my god, how dare you, like, talk to him over me. He is mine. You're not allowed to do that. So I'm gonna destroy you. And it's, like, stupid. So, the one I watched today was Kissed by Claw and Fang. And it was about this girl who's in, I guess, high school, maybe university, I don't know. And she meets these two guys, and one is the heir to, like, the vampire coven or whatever, and one is the alpha son who's, like, gonna inherit the local pack. And they have to live together and spend time together in order to, like, keep the treaty going or something like that. And they both see her, and they both fall in love with her, and they're both mated to her, and they want her to choose. And I'm not gonna lie, it was bad, but I got really into it, and I was like, oh my god, how are they gonna resolve this? How is she gonna have both of them? Because you do root for both of them. Like, they didn't make one of them out to be a villain or anything like that. Like, both of them. But she did have a deeper connection to the werewolf guy. But at the end of the quote-unquote film, the werewolf guy, an elder, came to him and said, you're not allowed to have a human Luna, so, like, you gotta stay away. And she had a secret, and he was like, well, I gotta keep her secret, so, like, I gotta stay away from her. And so he hurts her feelings and, like, hurts her to keep her away from him, which is obviously turning her now to the vampire guy. But that was the end. So, like, then at the end it was like, episode 1 is done. And I was like, no!
Now there's more.
Yeah, but it's not out yet because this one just came out.
Oh.
So, like, second one's not going to be out for God knows how long. And who knows if I'm even going to get
ads for it.
So I won't know if it's out or not.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's just funny that we're having this conversation about werewolves or vampires. And I watched that today. And it was about a girl having to make a decision between a werewolf and a vampire.
Yeah.
Anyway.
In this, I guess this world is different. You can't become a vampire if you're human. There's a completely separate species. So, like, the world of mate and bride is different.
Yeah.
And based on these vampires and wares, I'd probably pick a were boyfriend because all of the vampires seem like a bunch of cunts.
Yep.
I'm sure some of them might be better, but, like, maybe Misery's brother, but he's got to start, like, taking on the whole council thing. I'm like, that's no time for me.
I agree. I don't love, like, the majority of the vampires. Most of them are assholes.
Yeah. And, like, obviously we love all of the wares. Well, not all of them. Some of them aren't great, but most of the wares are
right on.
Fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So on that note, we'll get into the book. Just a heads up, it's not a spoiler-free zone, and things might get saucy. So it's week 3, and we're reading chapters 21 to 30. We literally ended last week with Serena accidentally made a guy kill himself. That's not really the right way to put it, but she was like, I'm not going with you. And he was like, well, I'll be punished, so I'm just going to jump off this cliff, which is wild and would obviously create a shit ton of PTSD for her. But doesn't seem to be an issue yet. Maybe that's something that's going to come up. So that happens. They realize that it's actually a cult going after Serena. And then Serena ends up back home, and Lo has to go talk to the assembly, so she's there by herself, and she goes to bed, and she wakes up and has her fever that, like, she does almost every night, and she goes to the bathroom, and her eyes look fucked up, and she's freaking out, but Koen is just behind her. I think I said Lo earlier. I meant Koen. They're getting mixed up in my brain. It's fine.
To be honest, I didn't notice, so it's okay.
I didn't hear you.
Oh.
Sorry, it just froze for a second while you were coughing.
Oh, I said it doesn't really matter because, like, I didn't notice.
Oh, yeah. The boys are just, they both have 4-letter names and they're just there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Cohen shows up and he's like, don't rub your eyes because your claws are out and you'll bloody them. And he basically brings her to bed. And, well, actually, no. He puts her in the tub because that's what helps her fever. And she ends up falling asleep in his arms. And he's just like sitting in the tub with her, but he's fully clothed. So we start this week. The first chapter, his entire thing at the beginning, it's usually like a quote. Sometimes it's long, sometimes it's short. It's just the word no, which I kind of love.
Like, I know what?
No to everything he's about to hear.
Oh, okay.
So Serena wakes up and she can hear like beautiful piano music, and she realizes she's in Cohen's bed, and she doesn't remember how she got here. And she thinks she was working on a letter, and then she fell asleep. And she, at this point, can't remember the whole fiasco in the bathroom. So she sits up and realizes Cohen is playing the piano, even though she literally taught him a chord on the piano the other day, because he says he doesn't play.
Yeah, but he didn't tell her that he knows how to play. He just chooses not to.
He is a sneaky, sneaky boy. And she doesn't remember. So she's just like, how did your meeting go? And I'm like, wouldn't you be like, but I'm in this bed?
Yeah,
like,
wouldn't it be like, how did I get here?
Yeah. And he's kind of distant with her. And she's like, that's weird. But he just says that the Huddles are all on the same page about the threat, so they're fine. And she goes to ask him if something's wrong, but then she notices her hair is wet and that she's also wearing his shirt and there are claw marks on her arms, and it just like comes back to her. She remembers, I guess, the bathroom scene of last night. She tries to get up but can't, and she asks him if her eyes are normal, and he's just like, yes, they're fine now. And now they're kind of gonna have their big brawl about her lying.
Yeah, so I will say that I texted you, and it's starting here, that I was reading this, and I was sobbing and bawling. And, like, do you ever have one of those moments, like, where you could go back and read something for the first time over again?
Yeah.
And, like, this made me sob uncontrollably so much that I wish I could just go back and do it again and have that experience again. Like, I know I was crying, and it's like, why would you want to cry again? But, like, it was just so heartbreaking. And I just, like, I felt so bad for them and, like, this whole situation. And it broke me in the best way.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I'm surprised you didn't message me and say, like, what the fuck? This is supposed to be a romance book.
No, but by that time, I was fairly positive that, like, my hypothesis was correct. Because, like, we're figuring this out, like, so soon in the book. Like, if it had happened more at the end, I would have been like, oh my god, what's going to happen? But because it was happening, like, what? Like, a little... Just over half the way through, I was like, yeah...
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So, anyway.
So, yeah, I love when, like, a book can make you feel emotions like that. Like, so good. So Cohen asks how long she's been feeling shitty, and she says 4 months, 12 years. Like, she doesn't know, because her life has been shit.
Yeah, the entire time.
And she just says, like, none of this is not terrible. Like, this is all really shitty. And he has some tea that he just, like, has on her nightstand, which is super cute.
Yeah.
But she tells him that the fevers began 4 or 5 months ago. And she saw Dr. Henshaw, and he said that it's a degenerative condition that starts before symptoms manifest. So obviously, like, the symptoms and the fever were 4 or 5 months ago, but it was probably already, like, she already had the condition before then. And then she tells him that it's CSD, which I think we talked about what it is without abbreviation before, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
but it doesn't really matter.
Something disorder.
Yeah, cortisone disorder. But he's familiar with the disorder because obviously it's a rare disease. It's not like humans can't get it.
Yeah.
And she basically just says, like, she got it because stress has fucked up her inflammatory and anti-inflammatory signals. So, like, I feel like her entire life could have caused this. Like,
yeah.
It kind of, in this moment, gives me a bit of hope for Anna, who's having a less traumatic childhood.
Yeah.
And he immediately just says, like, but CSD can be treated. And she agrees that it can. And she says, but where she's a hybrid, like, they tried all of the medications and stuff that normally work. And her hormonal
there you go.
levels. Thank you. Just had to stare straight into your eyes on the computer screen to say it.
To say hormonal. I love it.
Yes, I did. Are getting worse. And Dr. Henshaw said that she is not compatible with life.
That's a nice way to put it, I guess.
Wild thing to say to somebody.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, you're just not compatible with life.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
So he asks how long she has, and she says that the doctor said 6 months, almost 2 months ago. So at most 4 months she has left. Awful. So he asks what treatments she's tried, and she says all of them, but she's getting worse, and the fevers are almost nightly now, and the eyes and claws are new. And he says that, like, when a wear shifts, it starts with your eyes and your claws. So, like, maybe the fevers are triggering the shift, but her body can't shift, or maybe her trying to shift is triggering a fever. Like,
yeah.
I kind of thought that this might go somewhere.
Yeah, me too. But
doesn't really, I don't think. So then he asks if the vampire knows, and she says no, because she was protecting her. And he just snorts and says that he's surprised that Misery still trusts Serena with all the lies that she's telling her. And he's also surprised that Misery lets Serena out of her sight. And Serena's just like, no one lets me do anything.
I mean, also valid, but, like, he is right.
Oh, true, yeah.
Like, he is, but I guess she doesn't know that she's keeping the secret, so...
Yeah.
You know, you can't be like, I don't know how she trusts you with all these secrets you're keeping. And it's like, well, she doesn't know you're keeping one, so...
This one, yeah. But then I guess, like, before she disappeared, she was finding out that she was aware, and she didn't tell Misery either. And that, like, started a whole bunch of their issues. And after the last book, they were like, we'll never lie to each other again.
Psych! Yes, we will.
So she obviously says that no one lets her do anything, and Koen says if she was his, he would. And she doesn't know if that's a threat or a promise. And I'm like, let's find out.
I hope it's a promise.
So he asks if that's why she ran away to her little cabin, if it was to spare her sister from finding out about her dying. And she says one night she actually ended up in Anna's room, and she didn't remember how she got there. And Koen just says, like, she didn't hurt Anna, but Serena says she easily could have. And right now, Anna needs Misery more than Serena does. Which I just don't think is true. Like, Anna lived up until now without Misery. I know, like, she's going through some shit, but You could take her for 4 months. So he puts her letters on the bed because he found them. And she's kind of like, what the fuck? But he says last night he didn't know if she'd ever wake up again. And she can tell that he's scared by that. So she says she's sorry. And she says that she wrote the letters at the cabin, but then had to redo them. And mostly they're for Misery and Anna. And there's one for Lo about how to take care of Misery because she has quirks sometimes. Which is just, like, the cutest thing.
But, like, this is where the sobbing comes in for me. Because, like, she just, to her, I want to say her, like, dying breath, she just wants to take care of Misery. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. It's good. But it's sad. And she starts crying here, and Koen asks why she's crying, and she just says she's not sure. And she asks if he can forget he found this out. He obviously says no. He says it isn't an option. And she says, like, Dr. Henshaw has all of her tests, and if this is because she's a hybrid, maybe that can help Anna if something like this happens to her. And Dr. Henshaw's instructed to give all that stuff to Lo after she dies. Well, she says after. And then Koen, like, they go back and forth a little bit, and he's like, say it. And then he, like, gets right up in her face and is, like, leaning over her and tells her to say it. So she says, after I die. And then Koen just smiles. And says, if you think I'm going to let you die, Serena, you know fuck all.
Aww.
Which is cute, but it's also like, that's not really how...
It's not how it works.
No, that's not how anything works, sir. But okay. So they immediately just go to, like, Dr. Sem Kane's office. And he looks over the labs, and they explain everything to him, that, like, the fevers and stuff. And immediately, he asks to talk to Koen alone. And Serena's like, about me? And they're like, yeah. And she's like, no. I think she says, isn't that a HIPAA violation? Yeah. But they don't have HIPAA.
But, like, it's such a man thing. Like, oh, I'm going to talk to the man alone about... Like, it's so infuriating.
But it happens later, too.
Oh, I hate it.
Which I guess is for a bit of a different reason because of the sex thing. But anyway, it's like, it's her body.
Yeah.
If anything, kick the alpha out. Like,
yes.
There's so much in this book that is very much like medical incompetence and like all this like
God.
Just and I'm like, oh, this is way too. When you're actually reading it, this and dissecting it, you're like, this is way too real. So anyway, he will talk in front of both of them, and he says that he's surprised that she's still alive.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, guys, you're being so shitty. All these doctors. And he says that Dr. Henshaw's diagnosis and prognosis seem accurate. And Koen just asks, like, could this just be how hybrids are? Like, could she just be fine? That's just how hybrids live. But Sem says her body is in obvious distress. Because, like, she isn't eating. She's not sleeping well. Like, she's not good. So Koen asks the doctor about, like, what kind of drugs they can try. But the doctor's like, based on these files, she's tried all of them. And Koen is just pissed. And he's like, she's in pain. Like, you need to figure something out. But there isn't much he can do. He's just like, I can give her IVs, but baths are the best option. And Koen just tells him, like, his job is to fix this, so do it.
Rude. Again,
and it's like an order.
Again, it's not something that like, you can just order through, though.
Yeah. And he's, like, ordering a doctor as the alpha. He's ordering him as the alpha, too. So Sem is just like, okay. It's like, if he can't do anything, he can't do anything. But he nods, and then they go out to the car, and Koen is pissed and kind of like rushing away from her. So she corners him and stops him. And she says she knows how he's feeling because it takes adjustment learning someone you, and then she says, cared about is going to die.
Nice save.
Yeah. It's literally L-O. I'm like, sure, we'll just pretend we didn't see it. And he says this is why she didn't want to stay with him. And she just says, like, she could have injured someone or injured him, and he's just, like, not at all worried about that because he doesn't think that in her state right now she could. And she says that she knows that he's mad at fate, and he says that he's mad at her. But she just keeps going and says that she's made peace with this, and she wishes she had more time, but time is a privilege, and it's been a privilege to know Misery and Anna are taken care of. And she says, when I die, and he pulls her head back to look at him, and, like, stops her from talking, and says that if she ever says anything like that again, he'll kill her himself.
Yikes.
Which is just funny. And she just says maybe this is for the best.
I mean,
like,
I disagree, but also see where she's coming from, because she knows that he has to be celibate. So, like, if she lived, they still can't be together. So, like, at least this way, there's no temptation, I guess.
Yeah. And that's exactly what she says. She says, like, he has the covenant, and she's not available long term, i.e. dying. So they can't, like, there's no point of them getting together anyway. And he says, what if he wasn't the alpha and she wasn't dying? And she, like, makes a joke about, like, how ridiculous that is because it's so far from the truth. But she thinks, I think we both know. And he nods because he understands what she was thinking. Yeah. Not in a, like, he's just very good at reading her. He can't actually read her mind, but sometimes it seems like he does.
It does seem like he can.
It's like going to be like a third book and we're going to actually find out that he could. God. But if he could, he'd know she was dying before that moment. No, so he says anything that happens to her is over his dead body. And he opens her car door for her. But she hugs him and, like, inhales his scent. And says if today were her last day, she'd be happy to have spent it with him. And he just kisses her head, and they just hug for longer than is probably appropriate. But it's cute. So we start a new chapter, and he basically says, like, not having her is something that he's accepted, but her not being in the world is not something that he can accept.
Oh.
Which is, yeah.
Oh!
So
could that happen again?
We're going to have to break for Kristen crying.
Yeah.
So Koen is having a pack meeting, and Serena's about to go out, but she gets a call from Misery. And immediately she's like, shit, did Koen tell Misery what was going on? But he didn't, because that would have been really shitty. And Misery says that she actually has the history of the Northwest Pack. And she's like, I hope you're prepared for this, because it's bad. Like, Koen's past is bad, like our past is bad. It's like, whoa. So Serena asks if it's about the cult that she might be related to, and Misery's surprised that she knows about the cult. But Serena tells her about the guy that was yelling at her yesterday and jumped off the cliff. And Misery's like, oh, I thought the cult was gone. And Serena's like, yeah, so did they. But clearly it's not.
Yikes.
So Serena's like, what was the thing that the cult was promising that made people follow them? And Misery tells her that Constantine promised his followers that he'd turn them into were. And that is how he got the followers. But before Constantine, there was an original founder, and he was very were supremacist. And so much so that he was exiled from the Southwest Pack. So the original founder and some other wares moved to the border of the Southwest, the Northwest, and, like, rural human territories. And then a descendant of that founder met their mate in the Northwest Pack, and that mate joined the pack too. Joined the cult too, and brought more were into it. And they had kids, which included Constantine. So Constantine's parents are a man from the Northwest Pack and a descendant of the original founder.
Yikes. I feel like I'm saying yikes a lot.
Well, cults make you say yikes.
They do, yes. Cults do make me say yikes quite a lot. They give me the ick.
Yes, very much so.
Thank God. Not one of those pro-cult people.
No, especially when men are in charge.
Oh, dear sweet mother of God. I actually, side note, a friend of mine lent me a book that I have not read because it's not a romance book. And it's, I'm trying to remember what it's called, but it's like an autobiography about a girl who was in a cult.
Oh, wow.
And she gets out of it. And it's her little autobiography. It's very popular. I feel like people know what I'm talking about. It's called Revisited or Unvisited or something re or un at the beginning. Anyway, it's downstairs. She gave me the book and I was like, "Oh, here, you should have it back because I'm not gonna get through it in time for you to have it back." She was like, "No, that's okay." And I was like, oh, all right.
Oh, no. Ooh. Now what?
Yeah, it's her favorite book that I now have in my possession that I have not read. And I see her on the daily. And
she asks about it?
No, she actually doesn't. She lent this to me in June. Actually, that's a lie. In May of last year. And I still have it. I've still not read it.
Maybe she forgot about it.
I'm thinking she must have, but I could return it, but it feels weird now.
Yeah, I get that.
Especially if I have not read it and I still try and return it to her and be like, "Here," and she'd be like, "Oh my God, did you like it?" And I'll be like, "Didn't read it."
But I kept it for almost a year anyway.
Yeah. So, is it uneducated maybe, or re-educated or something like that? I think that's what it's called. Hang on.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna have to look it up now because I feel like I need to do it justice.
I think books like that I would read. I'd read the audiobook. I don't think I can get into.
Oh, is it just called Educated? Yes. Sorry. It's not un or re. It's just called Educated by Tara Westover.
Interesting.
It talks
if
about...
I can get it from the library, I'll read it for you. And
thank you.
Let you know how it is.
It chronicles Tara's childhood and early adult life through the lens of education. From a family of 7 children, Tara sees 2 choices as she grows up: to follow the footsteps of her older brothers and pursue education beyond her limited experience, or dedicate her life to living and working with her parents forever. This would also mean bringing any future children up on homeschooling and rejecting governmental institutions such as schools and hospitals. Okay, so it's sort of cult-ish, but not quite culty. It's more like a home... Seems like a homesteady... you know what I mean? Like, people that homeschool their kids and that sort of thing. And
well, yeah, a bit more extreme if, government institutions like hospitals and shit.
Yeah. So it also says Tara decides she wants to escape the small world she has grown up and self-teaches enough to pass the ACT test. I don't know what that is. And get into college. College is difficult enough for the average student, but Tara also has to contend with her patchy education up until this point and a family who swings between treating her as a whore and a traitor to the family and begging her to visit them in the holidays. So, anyway.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good book. It's just that's
not what you read books for.
Yeah, that's not why I read books.
Yeah, I get that.
So, I haven't gone for it. But again, she like we had to do like for literacy week, we had to do a wall of like our favorite books. So that was the book she picked for her favorite book of all time. So like it's got to be good. So
yeah,
plug for Educated by Tara Westover.
Nice.
Not a paid one, obviously. Just I've heard it's good. Read it.
Yeah. So back to the cult in this book.
Sorry, my bad.
So Constantine decided that they needed more members, so he decided that they could easily get humans, and he promised them that they'd become were. And obviously, like a lot of cults, there were bites, mutual blood drinking, and sex rituals, but none of that made them were, because that's not how it works in this world. But he ends up getting hundreds of followers, and he promises the men strength and the women that their children might be born were. So they could have hybrid children, which is what Serena is.
Yeah.
So Serena's like, they just want her as a spokesperson. And we get that Lowe and Koen did think that she could be related to the cult, but they looked into it and said, like, all the children were accounted for, so decided that that probably wasn't it. And then Misery goes to tell her about Cohen's shitty past, but Serena stops her because she wants to hear it from him. And Misery's like, oh my god, are you guys sleeping together? And then she's like, Serena says no, and then she's like, well, it'll probably happen, so you should know his dick. And then Serena cuts in, and then she's like, at the base, but Serena won't listen. And I'm like, you should listen. Yeah. This is important information.
But, like, I guess in her worldview, like, it is not going to happen. They're never going to have sex because that means that he can't be alpha. So, like,
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm like, wouldn't you just have told her about it from Lowe's dick?
Yeah, you would think. That's like all these things with the besties not telling their friends, like, stuff about this. If this was life, I would have immediately told you about this.
100%, yes.
So, like, yet they're sisters and they're not talking about their sex lives?
Yeah.
Or Serena's lack thereof, but, like, Misery is not...
Well, she had a sex life before.
Yeah, it's just weird to me.
Yeah, no, I feel like this would be something you would talk about, especially since it's not usual.
Yeah.
So Serena hangs up on her to stop her talking. And then she's like, shit, that could have been the last time I ever talked to Misery, which is bleak.
Yeah.
So she texts her and says, like, she wouldn't have had their lives any other way. And Misery's like, even when the anti-vampire coalition mixed up our rooms and pumped your room full of carbon monoxide. But Serena just says that she's grateful that their misfortune brought them together. And Misery's just like, oh my god, are you dying? And Serena asks if that's the only reason for her to say nice things. And Misery says it's the only reason she'd listen. I love their friendship. They're so cute.
I know, they are so cute.
So she goes into the living room then, and all the seconds are still there, and they're all talking about the cult. And there's no sign of the cult. Like, they can't track them down. And they couldn't track the kid back to where he came from. He kind of, like, covered his tracks. But they did find out he's not related to Serena, and he's not related to anyone in the Northwest Pack. Which is kind of interesting, but doesn't really come up again.
Yeah, so, like, what was the point?
Yeah. Cool. So Cohen says that there can't be many of the pack, of the cult left, or they would have found them. Which I think is just kind of a stupid thing to think, but fine. Whatever makes you happy. And then Serena says maybe they can lure them out, because they obviously want her. And Saul says that she might not even be part of the cult, but she says it doesn't really matter. Clearly they think she is, and they want her, so they can use her as bait. And she's busy making tea, I think, for everyone at this point. And then
she's so motherly.
yeah, but she's being so oblivious to like the mood in the room because like she's busy making tea. I think she makes tea for everybody, and then she says she can be used as bait, and all of the seconds just stand up and leave. So she's just like, oh, and obviously it's
What
because
happened?
yeah, obviously we understand that Cohen's pissed, and he says she doesn't care about her life. And he like,
no, I do not. I'm dying.
yeah, well, not anymore. Or yes, wait, I can't remember where we are. Shit.
I don't think we're there yet.
Sorry, guys. Spoiler for shortly. Yeah, so she doesn't care about her life because she's dying. So he like holds her face and asks her to be fucking good for once, and she says that she'll try. And then she kind of just changes the subject and asks why he didn't tell her about the cult before. And then she's like, were you withholding information to spare my feelings? And she says, because she knows someone who he criticized for doing just that.
Yeah.
Which is completely fair, yeah.
But, like, I do think there's a difference between, like, withholding information about a cult versus withholding information that you're not going to be here very much longer.
Yeah. And, like, a cult that you might not ever, like, be related to or a part of. Like, it could have nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, but it's just kind of funny. So he puts his hand around her throat. And he brings up the people outside of the interview that I think I mentioned in week 1 that were like spouting prophecies.
Mm-hmm.
They're cult people. And she asks him how many children there were. And he tells her that any wares from the cult were taken in by the Northwest, and any of the humans that they found with the cult went to human services. But they don't have any records of the humans that were given back. And it was hard to kind of keep track of them. And I'm like, does that mean there are more like her?
Oh.
So, I don't know. She says she's going to go to sleep because she's tired. And he asks which room. And she says hers, and he says that they'll sleep there, and he'll monitor her and catch her fever early. And she doesn't fight him and says thank you. And then she says his room might be comfier, might be better because it's comfier and there's a tub and it smells like him. And then she just falls asleep on him. Like, she doesn't even make it to the room. Like, okay.
Sin.
The next chapter starts with Cohen saying, well, fuck. So Cohen wakes her up and carries her to the bathroom, and he, like, pulls off her pants, and he goes to put her in the tub, and she says, no, it's too cold. And she feels odd, because, like, obviously, like he said just then, he woke her up before the fever got as bad as it normally does. Normally, it's, like, so bad it wakes her up, she gets in the tub, cools down.
Yeah.
It's not that bad yet. So she actually feels odd. She feels like she's awake but still sleeping, and she's not in pain like she normally is. And then she thinks, like, she feels fucking amazing, and she thinks she needs Cohen.
This is something that I don't understand. Like, why is her illness sort of taking this turn? You know what I mean? Like, why is she not feeling like she normally does?
Because it's not as far gone into the night.
Do you think that's what it is?
That's all I think it is. I don't know if that's true, but that's all I assumed it was. Like, if she waited longer, I think she'd eventually get to the pain and the hell.
Right.
But I don't know.
Okay.
And so her shirt feels wrong, so she pulls it off, and then I thought she was naked, but later she mentions underwear. So she's wearing underwear. It's not mentioned in this part, but fine. But she doesn't have her shirt on. And she wants him to look at her, but he's not. And she hugs him and kisses his rib cage, and she can feel that he's hard and that he wants her.
Mm.
And he asks her what's happening, and she just like licks his pets, and I'm like, this is out of nowhere.
It's interesting development.
Yeah. And he asks if she's warm, and she says that she is, but in a nice way, and that he smells so good. And he asks how she is, but she just thinks like she just wants sex. So he spins her around, and she tells him that they can do whatever he wants.
Oh my God.
She is so wet, and I'm just like, but he doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah,
he's told you many times.
Yeah, this is sort of where kind of, not that it goes off the rails in a bad way, but like kind of, and not off the rails. I mean, like, I don't know. This is sort of like, not that she's taking advantage of him, because she isn't. But I don't know. I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we read Bitten, and there was like questionably consenting scenes in that book.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that, because it's like, we're saying there are different species. There's different things that happen with them. Clearly, she's not in her right state of mind now, but she is kind of like pushing him to do things that,
yes,
in a right mind he wouldn't do, but she's also not in a right mind, which he actually mentions later. So it's like, it's questionable, but then you're like, when we figure out what's going on, it's like, that's something that doesn't happen to humans, so it's not the same. So it's a tricky one.
No, all I know is that it sort of gives me a little bit of ick.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't describe it, I just know that this scene gives me a little bit of ickiness.
Yeah. I get that. So he tells her to stay still, and he licks along her spine, and she just feels like she's dying, and nothing has ever felt that good. And he just says, fuck, and she asks if she's dying, and he says she'll be okay. And I assume this is when, like, he realizes what is happening, because he says, this'll pass. So I think he now knows what's going on. He's kind of realized. But he asks if she's in pain, and she says no, but she's afraid if he doesn't touch her, she's going to cry, and if that doesn't work, she'll beg, and then she'll break into a million pieces. And he says that he needs to leave, which is kind of funny. And that she, yeah, and that she has no understanding of what's going on, but he does. And she says she wants him, but he says that she's not in a position to decide what she wants. And she says that this is getting worse, and she dreams about him all the time, and then she puts his hand between her legs. She's still wearing underwear, though. But still.
Oh, but still, like...
Yeah.
Not okay, miss.
And then she's just like, fuck, I should not do that. So she asks him if there's someone else who can help. Because she's like... She needs something.
She's losing it.
Yeah. But she knows she doesn't want anyone else. And he, of course, doesn't want her with anyone else. So he says fuck it and carries her to the bed and sits her between his legs. And she, like, tries to grind back on him, but he stops her. And he says that she shouldn't pull that on an alpha when she's on the brink of a heat. So we kind of get here that he thinks that she's going through or coming on to a heat. Which is, like, a thing that we've all heard of in books, but is not a thing that happens to humans.
No, and I will say that it doesn't happen. Like I have obviously read books where it occurs, but it's fallen. It doesn't seem to be as popular as it used to be.
Yeah, which probably has to do with rape culture and shit now.
Yeah.
It's not as popular. Fair, completely fair. And questionable consent in a book that's not supposed to be questionably consentable is, yeah, completely get that. So she feels guilty, but he says that he's going to help, but she needs to do exactly what he says. And she says, as long as you touch me, but he nips her neck and says, no, no conditions, you do what I say. And then he asks how she touches herself, and she says she hasn't in months, which seems wild. Especially if we find out soon, like, this is the condition. It's like you think you would be. But he pushes her fingers into her underwear, and she realizes he isn't going to touch her, obviously.
Yeah, he can't.
Although it's like, what is the line here, guys? He's already emotionally way over it.
Yeah, that's true. And, like, that was a thing. Like, you can't... He has to be emotionally and physically celibate. But, like...
Yeah.
We already know that emotionally he is...
compromised.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, man. Sure.
Whatever you say, dude.
Yeah. Just so that people can't smell it on you, but they can see it when you ask them all to leave because she said she might want to be bait.
Yeah. Now, I will say he trusts his seconds anyway, so, like, that's sort of a slightly different situation.
Yes, yeah. 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 So, he tells her to touch herself, and she asks him to do it. And then she asks why he doesn't want to. And he just says that this is a mess, and she's in no condition to like, ask him anything. And he asks if she's going to break her promise, because she said that she would do what he said. So she starts to touch herself. She asks why she's so wet, and he says that she's going to need it. So I'm like, the other thing too is, at some point in time, presumably he could step down and they could just be together. So even if it's not today or tomorrow. But anyway, he's obviously alluding to the not here.
Yeah, you have a point. Like, I understand that as of right now, while he is the alpha, yeah, sure, they can't be together. But, like, and I mean, in her brain, she's dying. So, like, there is no future because she'll be dead by the time that happens.
Yes.
But I guess before, in his brain, like, I agree. I don't know why he had to feel like he had to push her away.
Yeah.
When it was just not right now. Not necessarily a not ever.
Exactly. Yeah. So this was him alluding to the not, though. Like, if they do have sex, she's going to need to be super wet for that. He tells her, like, he gives her instructions, tells her to go slower, and it starts to help, and he asks if she needs something inside of her, and she's like, normally I don't. And I'm like, it's not fucking normally right now. This isn't normal situation. Also, you haven't masturbated in months. You don't know what you need. And then he says he can't think of a single thing he wouldn't do to be able to eat her out right now. And she's like, well, do it.
Yeah.
And he says that she's never asked before now, and he can't now, obviously, because she's not in her right mind. And I'm like, this is...
You never could.
Yeah. So he licks her neck again, and she finally feels close, and she asks why that feels so good. And he tells her, and I think we learned about them in the first book, but he tells her about the like werewolf glands, because in the first book, somebody put green paint on Misery's glands, so there's 5 of them. It's the inside of your wrist, each side of your throat, and the back of your neck. And as he tells her all this, he kind of nips and sucks on each one of them, and they feel good, especially the back of her neck. And she asks why it feels so good, and he tells her that if he bit her, which is like a mating thing, which I think we talked about in Bride as well.
Yeah.
He would bite her on the back of her neck so that clothes couldn't hide it. And he says if she knew his thoughts about her, she'd wear a cape all the time. Which is so stupid. But I find it funny.
A cape?
Yeah. To hide the back of her neck. Like a vampire, like big neck cape.
I don't love that.
So he covers her neck up with her hair, and she asks where she would bite him to show that he's hers. And he stills and says he hates how perfect she is, and he hoped that he'd never find his mate, and now that she's here and there's nothing about her that he'd change or anything he regrets knowing about her. So she like starts crying because she can't come basically, and she's emotionally overwhelmed, and he's not helping. And physically overwhelmed, I assume. But she asks again like where he'd bite her, or where she'd bite him, and he says under his jaw, so people would like see it, but it would be like obscene, but they'd immediately know who he belonged to. And that like makes her feel on the edge again, but she still can't come. So he tells her to put her fingers inside of her, and she asks for his, but he won't. But then he licks the base of her throat, and he has her lick the base of his throat, and she says it's like, or thinks it's like tasting Koen's scent. And he moans and he praises her, and he says he wants to be so deep in her that she'd be squirming to breathe. And then she finally comes, and of course it's intense and insane and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then he pulls her into a cuddle as she like comes down from her insane orgasm. Her brain clears finally, and she feels like shit for forcing him to participate.
Yes.
Which is fair.
Yes.
But he kind of anticipated that she'd feel like that and says that it's okay. So she like cuddles into him, and she can feel that he's throbbing. But she knows that she can't do anything for him. So she says she's sorry, and he says he's never been less sorry about a thing, and kisses her forehead, and they fall asleep. Which is cute, but wild times.
Yeah, and like I think it is sort of glossed over, like her being like, shit, I just forced him and kept asking him over and over for like his fingers, and like asking him to participate more fully than what he allowed himself to. And I just feel like it was sort of glossed over that like she was so crazed that she was like not throwing herself at him, but like,
yeah, I kind of hate that term.
Yeah, I don't like it either, and it doesn't accurately represent what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I know.
But like, she was like begging, like she was begging him for it. Yeah. And really trying to like get him involved, and I feel like they sort of glossed over him being like, oh, it's okay. It's like,
yeah,
it's kind of not like, even though he doesn't mind, I still think they need to address it a bit more.
Yeah, I guess like there's no situation with humans where you're going to actually be like that.
No, you're right.
Doesn't matter what substance you're on. It doesn't matter, like, you still should be a reasonable human.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of where it's different. And, like, her feeling this guilt after is because she hasn't grown up, like, aware, whereas he's like, no, this is completely normal for the state you were in, is kind of how I took it. But I completely agree that it's like, that's not okay in normal life.
Yeah.
And, like, if the roles were reversed, I feel like I would still feel the same way, but obviously it's hard to know if I would.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. So we go to a new chapter, and Cohen's thing is he didn't think she could be more perfect. Then I don't know if I wrote this down wrong. Then he offered to bite her, or did she offer to bite him?
Hang on. Luckily, I have...
Chapter 23, maybe? I think it's she asked where to bite him, so he was like, I think that's what turned him on.
Oh, he didn't think she could be more perfect. Then she offered him her bite.
Yeah, okay.
So
yeah.
the fact
I wrote it down wrong.
The fact that she offered to bite him and, like, suggesting where she would bite him made him want her more.
Yeah. I just wrote it down incorrectly, and I kind of figured I did because, yeah, he didn't really offer to bite her either. He just said that's where he would, if their lives were different. So Serena wakes up to Cohen's phone ringing, and Cohen asks if she's okay, and then answers it, and it's Sem. And he's saying he has some news, and Cohen just says no shit, and that they'll be there in 20 minutes. Serena asks what he could have found out, and Cohen says, actually, he probably just talked to his partner, who is a midwife. And she realized what's happening. And they get to Sem's office, and Cohen doesn't even give him, like, a chance to tell them that he was talking to his partner before Cohen's just like, bring Layla in. So Layla comes in, and Sem leaves, and she, again, asks to talk to Cohen alone. But he's like, no, this is about Serena. And Layla, like, pushes back a bit, but eventually decides, that she's going to talk in front of Serena about Serena's own body. Yeah.
I hate it so much.
Me too. I just, like, guys, So, she tells Serena that the doctors missed a bunch of shit, like, obviously. And that that she's going into estrus. And Cohen just says, people call it going into heat. And it starts to kind of make sense to Serena. She's like, oh, I get, like, the dreams and the fever and, like, okay, that why she was crazed last night. Serena asks if this happens with, like, no. I don't know what she asked. Sorry, I didn't write that down. And whatever I said. Layla basically tells her, that with wares, it usually happens in wolf form, which is interesting. And I wonder if that's, like, part of the no consent part of it, because it's usually that they're wolves when it happens.
Oh, right.
They're usually in their wolf form.
Right.
And I'm like, what if it happened in her wolf form with Cohen? Would he even be able to stop himself?
don't know. Considering he's in his wolf form a lot.
Yeah. Confusing times. So yeah. But she says that it happens in human form, and it's normally caused by close proximity to a sexually compatible partner. Like, no shit.
They really, like, gloss over this idea. Like, she met her mate, even though they're like, I'm not your mate. And she's like, are you sure? And they're like, no, you would know. And then it's like, oh, I'm in heat now.
Yeah.
So, I just feel like everybody's dumb. I also don't understand how the male doctors don't know about this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry. This is the most, like male weaponized incompetence. Like, this is showcasing how it is that human women in the real world go undiagnosed with shit, are constantly, like, sort of undermined and belittled at doctor's appointments, all because men know shit all. I don't understand how these two separate doctors, and not even that, it had to have been more, because apparently the first guy consulted with other people, and nobody fucking caught this?
Yeah.
That she's not actually dying?
Yeah.
Like,
it's because they looked at it as if she was a man, because all testing and all medication
is based on a man.
Yeah.
And not even a man, a white man.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that about about most modern medicine, white man is, and not even just white man, like, between 20 to 25-year-old white man is the average on what all baseline is for medication, dosage, like, everything like that is based on, like, they do all their testing based on middle-aged white men. So, like, it just blows my mind. So there's no such thing as a female were-doctor to have caught this? Like, I'm so angry. And, like, not even that I'm so angry at the situation. I am. But I'm more so angry at how accurately this mirrors real life.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, but, like, it is so infuriating that she is this basic human function, and yet none of these super smart male doctors could figure this shit out. And you can hear me. I am so frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm so mad. And it's a fucking book.
Yeah. But it's based on real life. And it does sound like heat in wares that are in human form isn't common, but that doesn't mean that men shouldn't know about it. That's ridiculous. But, like, there was even as recently as last week, I think, some guy on Threads was like, your period shouldn't hurt. Just take an aspirin and use a heating pad. And it's like, what? Like, women's pain is downplayed so much all the time. And it's wild. It's wild. Like getting an IUD put in. They're like, we'll just shove that in there, no problem. It'll be fine. No, it fucking hurts. But, like, if men had to get that done, they'd be put under 100%. Anyway, it's...
Well, it's even, like, just the idea that men are so fucking clueless about, like, oh, yeah, sure, you should be able to hold that in until you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, I've literally seen that on TikTok. Men being like, just hold it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm literally losing so much blood that you would, like, if you lost that amount of blood, you would be in the hospital. We lose it every month. Like, I've seen people say, I don't trust people who lose that much blood every month.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me think they're Now, it's probably a joking thing. Like, I don't trust women. They for losing that much blood and it being okay. And I'm like, ugh! It is so frustrating. Like, it's actually one of the reasons why I've said on this podcast before that I am so passionate about teaching health to junior high students. Like, I teach grade 9 health. And, like, most people really hate teaching it because it's so awkward. But, like, I feel like this is the way to educate kids. Like, all curriculum, I don't stray from the curriculum, so don't, like, come at me and say that I'm, like, going above and beyond. I'm not. I am teaching. But, like, so many people find it so awkward to have those conversations. And I'm just like, no, we need to have those conversations. Otherwise, how will they know? Because not all parents do that. Parents don't talk about that shit.
If you don't learn, how are you ever going to be able to teach your kids? Like, that's the other part of it. Like, if you're not learning this stuff growing up, if it's not normalized, you're never going to be able to talk to anybody about it. Like, my niece, completely open with it all. Yep. She talks about it with everyone. Her dad, her mom, her brothers. Yeah.
We've talked about it.
Yeah. And it's great. I love it.
Yeah. But, like, you shouldn't have any shame about a bodily function.
No, 100%.
Especially a bodily function that 52% of the population of the world goes through.
Yeah.
Maybe not entirely, because we've got, like, you know, pre-pubescent and like, menopausal women, and then people that just, like, don't have cycles for whatever reason. But, like, 52% of the world are biologically, like...
may go through one, at least, in their life.
Yeah. And, like, I've said before that, like, my parents never had... My mom never spoke to me about any of that shit.
Yeah.
I knew absolutely nothing about sex, about orgasms, about periods. Like, I never got any of that conversation. And I've dated guys, like, even though my husband and I have been together since I was 19, before that, like, it was very clear that my high school boyfriend knew nothing about the female body.
Yeah.
Didn't even know about his own body, really, because, anyway.
Yeah.
That was high school. My first university boyfriend literally did not think that women had 3 holes. He said to my face, he thinks he should know he's been down there enough.
Well, I didn't know when I was trying to use a tampon for the first time. We've talked about this before. I didn't know that.
I also didn't know.
Yeah.
But, like,
but I'm not confidently wrong.
Yes.
So, I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not going to be like, I know everything.
No. So, like, there's this stigma in society about, like, not knowing, like, what's going on with your bodies. And, like, I see it in the classroom, right? Like, these kids that don't want to talk about it. They don't want to learn about it. They want me to stop talking. They're like, Miss, this is so embarrassing. You need to stop. And I'm like, no. We cannot stop. You need to know what is going on with your body. You need to know what is going on with if you want to be in a relationship with somebody, you need to know what is going on with their body. Even if it's the same body as you still need to, like, you need to be aware of these things.
Yep.
Like, you cannot simply, like, you know, if you're gonna be, especially for boys, if they have plans to be husbands and fathers, like, you need to be able to go to the store and know what the difference is between a tampon and a pad.
Well, if they plan to not be fathers, they are in heteronormative relationships, then they need to also...
Yes, 100%. Like, you know, if you have literally any woman in your life, you should know what they go through and know that it is painful and know that it is not, like, you shouldn't undervalue that. Like, it sucks. It is not a fun time.
Yeah.
But yet, it's constantly, like, pushed aside and, like, pushed under a rug, and, like, because of this, like, society, this masculine society where, you know, women are dismissed all the time, especially in health-related fields. Like,
Yeah.
you hear stories all the time, too, of women going and being like, I want my tubes tied. And doctors
Mm-hmm.
being like, but what if you don't in the future? What if you decide in the future you want kids? And, like, it's like, women should be trusted to make autonomous decisions.
I had a friend who had just had twins, and she was like, I would like my tubes tied. And they were like, what if you and your husband divorce someday and your new partner wants to have kids? And she was like, I don't want to have kids. It shouldn't matter what my new partner wants. Also, it's reversible. Might not be super easy, but like, I don't know. It's just, you should be able to do what you want with your body.
Yeah, but like a man can go and get snipped, and yeah, like literally in our city, the wait list to get snipped for a male, it's like 3 years long. That's how many men are going out and getting the procedure, and it's fine. And yet,
well, that one is easier to reverse, and I think they should all be snipped until they're ready to have kids.
Agreed.
And they should have to pass a test. But that's just, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've been ranting, but
that's okay.
Just like the situation in this book is really, not that it's hitting too close to home, because I've been lucky having like female doctors, and like I think I've lucked out pretty well, in that way. But like, just seeing other women go through that, and now reading about it, and like I understand Ali Hazelwood is definitely doing this consciously.
Oh,
and
yeah.
definitely making the parallels to like our current society, and like what it's like to be a woman going to a male doctor and all of that. It's just the fact that is our situation in life is so frustrating.
Well, and then like you hear the reasons of why they won't test medications on women, and they're like, it's because their cycles are too inconsistent. And it's like, yeah, that's why we need testing on medication for women, because cycles do change. Like, if you're in a different part of your cycle, is the medication going to affect you differently? We need those kinds of tests. But no, too unpredictable. I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah. So Layla asks her if she's having trouble shifting, and Serena nods. And Layla says that's the same as her other patients who have had this happen. And it means that her estrus is likely approaching soon. So her heat.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
I wonder, it's something they never talk about in this book, and I really wonder, like, how often this occurs. Because this has been, 2 months or 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe even longer? Like, is it 2 or 4? Because it was happening before she went to the doctor, and she was in that cabin for 2 months.
Yeah,
and,
so
like,
it's over 2 months.
It must have been when she started going to the doctor, and then they tried a bunch of shit. That must have taken a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I feel like this is probably closer to 4 months. Like, that's a long time to be approaching a heat.
Yes.
So, like, I wonder, like, is this something that happens? Is it, like, I've seen, like, books, werewolf and vampire books, and it's like, oh, like, you go through it, like, once every 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if it's that sort of a, like, if it's that rate, or, like, you know, is it one in a lifetime? Like, is this, you know what I mean?
Does it happen to everybody, or is it just special cases?
Because I'm trying to give the doctors the benefit of the doubt. If this was more, like, if it was more common, you would hope that they would actually know what it is.
Well, yeah, Layla says that, like, she's been practicing as a midwife, so predominantly with women, for over 10 years. And I think she said something like she's only seen it a handful of times. So it is pretty rare the way it's showing in Serena. But that doesn't matter. You should still be checking every avenue if you're going to tell someone they're dying.
Yes.
So Serena asks what's going to happen. And Layla says that she'll see a spike in nesting behavior. And Serena's like, oh, like the collecting of blankets and pillows that she's currently doing in her room? And she's like, I'm already nesting. Great. And then she thinks of wearing Cohen's clothes all the time. Another sign. And Layla says that Serena's scent is going to become more appealing to partners. And Cohen just says it already has. And Serena asks if she should be worried about that, like if she should go get a taser. But Cohen says if anyone in his pack touches her without her requesting it, they will die. And she's like, okay then. And Serena says he should leave now because she wants to talk to Layla on her own about her own body.
Finally.
Yeah. So he does leave because he respects her body and her autonomy, even if the doctors fucking don't. And Layla just immediately asks if she knows about the covenant. And obviously Serena does, which Layla feels relieved. But then she tells her that estrus will just be her wanting a lot of sex, and the brain fog will make thinking of consequences of actions hard. And it'll last 2 to 5 days, and she'll spend the time alone with her partner or partners, depending on her preference. And partners can end up being protective during this time if, like, anyone tries to come near them, so they generally hole up alone, and that's it. So Serena asks if anyone has done it alone, and Layla says no, and says that she wouldn't be able to orgasm alone, which is why... which she thinks is why she couldn't orgasm last night until she licked Cohen.
Man, just get a little toy.
I know. I'm like, yeah, I think you could do it. If you got a toy, you got an imagination.
Yeah.
I think I have faith in you. Layla tells her it won't be hard to find a partner, though, because sex isn't taboo with wares like it is with humans. And, like, being in estrus is normally a pleasurable time. So Serena's like, I'm assuming this all comes down to, like, biology, and the whole point is pregnancy. And Layla says yes. And this is where Serena thinks, like, she was interested in having a kid. And she thought of it as kind of like a do-over, how her child wouldn't be traumatized into forgetting the first 6 years of their life, how they wouldn't have any assassination attempts, and how they'd never know hunger or fear, and their happiness would soak up all the sadness that she generated as a child, which is, like, devastating of her to think, but also she was interested in having children, and now she thinks that she's unable to, so, which is kind of what she says. She says that it might not be possible for her to have kids, because that's what she heard.
Mm-hmm.
And Layla says, in the event that she can, she'll never be asked to put her body through anything she doesn't want to, which is another clear nod from the author about how she feels about overturning
women's reproductive rights.
Or human rights.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just throw that in there because obviously this society is more advanced than some of our own. Anyway, but she says she won't be asked to put her body through anything she doesn't want to. And Serena says, in that case, she needs one thing. She needs Layla to make sure she doesn't go into heat. And I'm like, smart. She doesn't want that of her body. She should be able to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So then we start the next chapter, and Cohen's thought is, he never thought the world was fair, but seeing he could have had her is cruel. And I'm like, you still can. Like, we figured out she's not dying. If you just wait a few years, train somebody up to replace you, you guys can get together then.
Yeah.
Anyway, not a possibility, apparently. So Layla just says, in theory, a high dose of progesterone could prevent her from going into estrus, but they don't know how an injection would react with her biology because she's a hybrid. And she starts listing a whole bunch of potential problems, but Serena asks if they can try. And Layla says, like, she really doesn't want to. Says she can help her find somebody to go through her heat with. But Serena tells her her body is set on low, and she thinks her soul is too. And the thought of anyone else is not possible for her. Layla says that she can feel safe with someone else, but Serena says she doesn't want to. And then Layla just says it's forbidden for him to help her. He'd have to step down, and that could cause a succession war, and the assembly might secede. And I'm like, Layla, why are you being such a bitch about this?
Yeah.
Like, Serena literally agrees with her, and she says that's why she needs to not go through it. And it's like, obviously. So anyway.
Yeah.
Serena leaves.
But again, I feel like it's just, like, one other person who's, like, throwing in her face, like, making her feel bad about, like, Brenna did it, like, said, like, I can't wait for you to go away because he doesn't deserve this. And now Layla is being like, he can't do this for you. Like, and, like, Serena's like, I know. Like, I'm not trying to take him from you. You know what I mean?
She's literally like, I asked you to stop the heat. I asked you to stop the heat. And Layla's like, you can't with Koen. And she's like, I know I can't. That's why I asked you to try to stop it. Inject me with anything. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It just annoys me so much. Guys.
Yeah, they're all treating her like shit. Especially since, like, it's not voluntary.
Yeah.
Neither of them were like, hey, you want to be mates? No. It was an involuntary action. Like, what do they expect?
Yeah.
She is doing her best. So, they're all just treating her like shit, and I hate it.
It's so frustrating. Anyway, it's frustrating.
It is.
I'm like, she's literally asking you to stop it, and you're acting like she's trying to take Koen away from you, and she's literally asking you to help her stop. It's so frustrated. Anyway, Serena goes outside, and Brina's there. And I'm like, of course she is. Jesus Christ. And she's immediately being a bitch about how she has to babysit Serena because Koen's gone. And Brina says that she was told to bring Serena home because Koen had a situation at the border. And Serena asks if it was the cult. And Brina says, no, it wasn't the cult, but it's still about you. And it's like, she's not asking for people to be after her either. Stop. Everyone is being such a fucking bitch, and it's pissing me off. But it's vampires. So the vampires, they sent two groups. The first group was to distract the patrol so that the second could, like, sneak in and try to abduct her. And the first group had jewelry to connect them to a council member who has historically been pro-were. So they've spoke to Owen, and he thinks that was just like, what's the word? That was just a red herring, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
And that the second group was likely sent by Councilwoman Salamio. But he needs proof of that before he can actually accuse anyone. So that's why Koen has gone to the border to, like, beat the truth out of someone, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm like, send Misery to the border. She'll use her... I know she's way too far away, but she can use her thrall and figure it out.
Yeah.
Serena looks at Brina then, and she thinks, like, last night Koen wasn't clumsy with her, so he likely has experience with Brina. And I'm like, girl, even if he does, he was 15. Fuck off. Like, we don't need the jealousy here.
I also want to say that, like, there is no way he has not, like, in 20 years, okay, I know that he hasn't, but there is no way he's going to be that good after 20 years.
No. Well, he didn't he didn't really do anything.
But, like...
And I guess he's... What?
You know, like, this is a spicy book. We can assume that things are...
Gonna spice up.
So, like, there is no way that... One, there is no way that he, being out of practice after 20 years, he is as good as he presumably will be. And two, there is no way that he got enough experience at the age of 15 to be so good.
No.
Like, at that age.
No.
So, I don't know. Like, that's something that really bothers me about, like, well, romance books in general is, like...
The virgin trope.
Yeah, and, like, even on the men's side, like, men being like, yeah, I have limited experience, and, like Jamie Fraser from Outlander. Like, handsome man. And he's a virgin when he marries Claire. Season 1, episode 6, people. It's a good one. So, they get married. Now, the first time they have sex, it's not great for her.
Yeah.
But the second time, it's great for her.
Of course.
And it's like, he is like, I'm a virgin. Yeah. So it's like, there has to be a bit of a learning curve. He doesn't even know at the time that women are capable of orgasm. And, like, I just find that, like, that happens a lot in romance books where men have limited experience, but yet they can still find the clitoris, even find the G-spot, and, like, they can really get the girl where she needs to be. Yeah. It's like, I feel like they need more practice than that.
Yeah. Also, I don't really need to read about that shit. I don't need to read about your sex being bad in a book.
No.
Is the other part of it, too. But I do 100% get what you're saying. That's why I don't love books that have
the
virgins in general. Like, that's not one of the tropes that I like. But, that being said, I don't think she needs to be jealous of teenage Brina and Koen. I'm like, please don't do this to me. I guess I get it because he will not touch her. But I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
So Brina asks if she's okay then. She's like, you're not dying or anything, right? Because, like, you were just at the doctor. And Serena's like, oh shit, I'm not dying. And it's like the first time it's kind of clicked. Because obviously, yes, she just found out. But, like, there's another issue now. Her heat is coming up. Like, that's going to be a problem. So, like, she didn't really get the relief of, oh shit, I'm not dying. So now she's finally having that.
I will say,
and she thinks,
I wish she had said to Brenna, like, I thought I was, like, or something. Like, up until now I was. Because, like, I just want people that have been treating her like shit to feel bad.
They're not going to.
I know.
They're shitty people. But Serena thinks, like, she has choices now. She can go back to the Southwest. She can see Anna grow up. She can watch Misery be the worst parent on the planet. She can be a journalist or a financial advisor. And then she asks Brina to stop into the store because she needs sunscreen. Which is just, like, it is a callback to earlier when they were at the store. And she was like, I don't need sunscreen because I'm dying anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. So it's just, like, I liked that visual of, like, oh shit, I care about my future now. Not care about, but, like, showing the difference between thinking you're dying and being like, what's the point? Yeah. Like, even if she did get skin cancer, it probably wouldn't kill her before this disease did. So, like, yeah, I liked that visual in the book. So after that, she spends the day in the cabin, and wares keep dropping in, and they all have the same, like, same exact question, same order, and she's just like, Jesus Christ. But she calls Misery and Anna, and she talks to them, and it's nice, but she obviously doesn't tell either of them that she was dying, and now she's not. Koen shows back up finally, and she's doing a crossword, and she has a speech ready about how she's sorry about last night and him having to deal with vampires today, but it all kind of just melts away, and she says that she made supper. And he's like, oh, Saul said that you were asleep, but she says that she lied because they were annoying and kept coming in, so she just said she was going to take a nap, which is just funny. She notices he's bleeding, and he brushes it he brushes it off, but she tells him to, like, take off his shirt, and he's like, what would you even do? And she kind of makes a fun joke about, like, she'd debate if he needed stitches or not, and then she'd clean around the wound, but never actually go near it because it's gross. And she sees it, and it's worse than a scratch, but it's not awful. And a vampire who wasn't restrained well got, like, I guess, scratched him, stabbed him, don't know. But that vampire's dead now. And Koen says he'll heal anyway, so he goes to change. So he comes back out, and she's at the sink, and he brackets her in with his arms and says that it feels like she's playing house again. And she says sorry, but he says he didn't tell her to stop. So she turns around, and she's, like, in his arms, basically. And his flannel is open. And I'm like, dude, these are many mixed messages. You can't be in the house shirtless. But she buttons it up because, obviously, she's in her right mind, and she has had multiple conversations about how he can't be with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then they sit down and eat together, and he finally tastes her food. And I think this is one of the first times in the book that he has.
It is the first time.
He keeps saying no.
And I'm like, is it because he knows that it's good and he doesn't want to, like... Or is it, like, one of those, like, you know, the Reese favorite thing where, like, you're offering me food? Like, is it that sort of a situation? Like,
yeah,
I just want to get in his head and like, I want to know why he's turning down her cooking so often.
I think it was to keep her at arm's length, but, like, I don't obviously have no idea. But that's where my brain was. I was like, finally he's realized he can't keep her at arm's length anymore. So he's like, fuck it, I'm going to eat. And, of course, he loves it. And it's so satisfying for her, especially since Misery doesn't eat, and that is her, like, lifelong companion before now. But she also says, like, she wasn't allowed to cook at the Collateral Mansion, so now it feels like an insurrection action to cook. And she asks if he can cook, and he says not well, but she doesn't believe him after the piano fiasco of him saying he doesn't play. And he says his dad taught him, and she asks why he lied about it, and he says that she asked if he played piano, and he hasn't played in years before this week. So he wasn't lying. I'm like, fuck off.
It's semantics, like.
Yeah. And she just, like, sits on the counter while he washes their dishes and, like, likes to be close. And they go out on the back porch and drink tea, and she comments on how much sugar he likes in it when he's been drinking black coffee that she's been bringing to him. And he says he doesn't like black coffee. He's actually been hating it, but she's been bringing it to him, so he's been drinking it.
Which is so cute.
It's so cute. My little heart. So she asks what he does when she's not around, and he kind of jokes, but then he says that it changes, but the pack is mostly like a well-oiled machine, and everyone has a job, and then big things come to him. And she asks if he ever considered going full dictator and, like, putting up a statue of himself and making sure everyone's middle names was Coen and, like, all this stuff, but, like, he doesn't even humor it. And I'm like, is this another point at the real world?
Oh, God.
Anyway, then she asks him to pick a hand, and he does, and she says they're doing a crossword, and he asks what the other hand was, and she says it was him giving her a tour of his shop. And he's just like, why do I always pick the worst hand? But they go in and sit on the couch and do a crossword, and she wonders how many nights they could have like this. And he just says, don't. So he's obviously reading her mind again. And she kind of jokes with him, but she thinks she would give anything for a million more nights, or even one like this with him, which is just sad. Even though, realistically, give it 2 years, you can do that.
Yes!
Anyway, so she's getting sleepy, and he is too, and then the fever starts.
Yeah. So we move on, and the little, like, epigraph is every time he touches himself now, it will be to this moment. And I think it was referencing, I don't know if it's the moment coming up or the moment they had the night before.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. So she goes to her room and comes back in and, like, to the living room a few minutes later, and she's all flustered and sweaty. And it sort of insinuates that she tried giving herself an orgasm, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
And he can tell it didn't work. And she can tell that, like, she can tell that he wants her. So, like, they're sort of having this little, like, awkward sort of interaction in that she is super turned on, and it is, like, a medical issue.
Mm-hmm.
And she cannot give herself the relief. And she can tell he wants her, but he can't act on it. So it's, like, a really awkward situation that they're having. She tells him that the plan, because I guess he had to leave the doctor's appointment, so he missed the bit where, you know, like, they have a plan for Layla to give her a progesterone shot to stop her heat, and, you know, then they won't have this issue anymore. And Koen doesn't love that idea. Like, he doesn't love that that's the way they're going with it.
What does he want, though?
Well, that's it, because he's, like, thinking he can't fix it.
Yeah.
He can't do anything for her to make her not go through it. And so, like, this is the other option.
Yeah.
And, like, it's sort of what they say, too. Like, he's, like, he doesn't have any rational reason to object. And just tells her he'll support her. Even, like, he says, I'll support you even if you decide to spend your heat with another man. Or another were, or whatever. And she's like, that sounds like a lie. And he's like, fair, you're right. Like, if you do decide to be with another male, you're literally gonna have to, like, drop me down a well and pour concrete in it. And chain me down there. So that I, like, can't get out. If that's the decision you make. And it's like, well, we just went from, like, 0 to 50 real fast.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like this whole covenant vow of chastity thing is really just a suggestion at this point.
Well, it feels like he's given up on it. And that's why I was kind of like, him eating her food, is that him just being like, fuck everything, all I care about is her now?
Yeah.
Like, has he given up on all of it? He's like, I can't stop it, so here we are.
Yeah. So she tells him that, like, the thought of somebody else touching her makes her, like, physically ill. And, like, we sort of saw that she struggles with anybody else touching her, like, not just dudes, like, anybody else. Their touch, like, is repulsive.
That's just now, is it?
No, it's been for a bit. Like, she remembered, she mentioned it at the beginning, too, like, that that when he picked her up from her cottage.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, how her childhood of probably never being touched and hugged has affected her.
Oh.
And if, like, that's any, like, if there's also trauma there, and, like, the safety of Koen is another part, even more so than just all of this.
Yeah, and that's
her life, man.
Her life is, it sucks. So,
tragic.
I mean, a fair point. I didn't think of it like that. I sort of thought of, like, her heat.
Yeah.
Because she talks about the sensory stuff a lot, like clothing feeling really scratchy, and like I took it as an extension of that more so than like trauma.
Yeah. And I think that's what it's supposed to be. I was just like, wait a second. I wonder if she ever wants it.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so she just says like, someone else touching me makes me physically ill, so like I'm probably not gonna find someone else to be with. So like, essentially, if he does not help her, the progesterone shot is her only option, because she cannot go through it alone. So she just sits on his lap then, and I'm like, hello, consent. Like, we literally just had the conversation that he cannot help you. He can't. So, but she does say, do you want me to stop? So I guess kind of consent.
Yeah. If he could just shove her off.
I guess, onto the floor. But like, he just doesn't respond when she's like, should I stop? And he just doesn't answer. And I'm like, if it were me, I would need an answer, sir.
Well, yeah, that's not enthusiastic consent.
Not.
It's just not immediate rejection. Yeah.
We need enthusiastic consent. So she starts grinding against him and thinks about like what sex would be like. And again, like, she's starting to get into this brain fog, the fever, like, so her actions are not entirely her own right now. And he just tells her to keep thinking about whatever it is she's thinking about, because it makes her smell insanely good. And she tells him that he can keep her forever.
That's a promise.
Like, what?
What is happening?
And she's like, are you okay with this? And he just encourages her to, like, keep grinding. So she asks, we finally have the fucking conversation, what celibacy means. She's like, what does celibacy mean? Where is the line?
Yeah.
And he tells her the lines are everywhere and she's blowing past all of them.
What? That's what we're saying.
And I'm like,
that is exactly what we're saying.
Sort of a red flag. It's like, I have lots of lines and you're just crossing them all.
Yeah.
And she just keeps grinding and asks, like, what if she does all the work? And he just tells her to stop for a second. He's like, I cannot come.
Yeah. And
he says, like, it's easier to make this about you and, like, getting you through your heat. So, like, he doesn't want to come because that is where the celibacy line is. And she apologizes, but he tells her, like, he knows how hard this is for her and not to worry, he'll take care of her. And she tries to, so she's just, like, a flurry of contradictions, because she literally sits on him without asking and is, like, grinding on him, but then all of a sudden she's like, oh, I'm sorry, no. It's like, girl, you already invited this in. Like, you already started it, and now you're trying to backtrack. It's just a bit, like, weird for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's like, no, don't worry about it. And he's like, no, seeing my mate through her heat, it would be a privilege. And, like, if this is all he gets, he's gonna make the most of it. So.
That's not fair to anyone.
No. So, he closes his mouth around her gland. Not sure which one. Assuming the neck one, and it makes her feel real good. And she just tells him that it has to be him, it has to be them. Because she even tried touching her glands herself, but, like, it didn't work. And she says they're like a lock and key. And he tells her that even though she is his mate, he isn't hers. So she will have other keys. And I'm like, that's sort of dismissive. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. Like, the way she is behaving, she's like, literally any other person touching me, thinking about it makes me physically ill. And he's like, I'm not your mate. I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He very immediately was like, I'm not, it's fine. And, like, has kept that in his head.
Yeah.
Like, if he thought that she was, would he just be like, fuck it, fuck the pack, fuck everyone? Is that why he's trying to keep it? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's pretty annoying that he's, like, this dismissive of the idea that, like, maybe you are her mate.
Yeah.
So, he's like, oh, you'll have other keys. And she's like, I don't want them, I just want you. And he bites and licks her gland, and it brings on an orgasm. And she wants more and tries to bring his hand down to her area, but he's like, he can't. Because he says if he touches her, it's all over. He'll hold her down and not her.
Ooh, she doesn't know what that means.
She does not. And she sort of says, like, she can touch him and do the work, but he can't touch her. So, like, as long as she is the one guiding all the actions, it's fine.
He's making new lines.
Yeah, they're just drawing new lines. Erasing the ones that exist and drawing new ones. So she brings his hand up to, like, her boob, and he is so worked up. And she reminds him that technically she's doing all the work.
I'm like, that's not... I mean, it's still using his hands.
Yeah, so she's, like, rubbing herself on him, and she, like, bites and licks his gland, and she's about to come again and asks, like, if this is the last time they'll ever be like that. And he says if it is, he doesn't regret anything, and she, quote-unquote, bursts into flame.
Ooh.
Yeah, so, couple of orgasms, she's right as rain. So after she sort of, like, comes down from that orgasm, she offers to, like, wash his clothes because she's rubbed herself all over him. And, like, she's like, there's definitely a wet spot on his pants from me. And he says, no, don't wash them, because he wants to smell them after she goes to bed.
Is that not a line?
I guess, like, I mean, it's the same as, like, if you're on a diet. Like, remember, in that movie Dodgeball? Do you ever...
I don't know if I watched that.
And Ben Stiller is in it, and he's, like, super fit, and he used to be, like, really heavy. And as part of his, like, diet routine is he, like, smells a donut, and he's just, like, in his office smelling the donut. Like, if you are sort of on a food journey where you are limiting, those types of foods, is that a line? Like, can you smell it? That's not adding any calories. So, like...
I can't. I would eat it.
I know. But, like, I guess, is it sort of the same idea? He's like, he can smell it. It's not gonna... And I'm sure it'll help him, like, jack off later.
Yeah.
So...
It's like, have you seen... It's a huge trend now. People are talking about the 3-bite diet.
No.
Where you take, like, 3 bites of a piece of food and then you throw the rest away. That's the concept of the diet.
Sounds wasteful.
Yeah, but the ones that I always get are, like, girls in cars with, like, their donuts, and they'll take, like, a small bite, and then for their third bite, they'll just shove the whole thing into their mouth. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever. It's kind of mocking that diet, but I love it.
Hilarious. Anyway, so, like, she really wants to get him off so badly. And she tells him that she knows he took an oath, but, like, there is very little she wouldn't do for him if he were to ask her to. And he tells her that he would throw away his pack and his life for her, which is why he can't have her. Because that's the whole idea behind the covenant and the celibacy pact, is because you don't want the alpha to choose one over the many. And that's sort of what he's saying that he would do. So then the epigraph or whatever is his nuisance is what she is. So, like, he knows she's borderline annoying, but he loves it. So she wakes up the next morning, and Amanda and Saul are in the living room, and the ingredients for pancakes are just laying on the counter. And she's like, some of the ingredients for pancakes are there, but also some ingredients that you wouldn't put in pancakes are there. And
which is funny because it's Pancake Week.
It is.
Pancake Day was this week.
Pancake Day was this week. Shrove Tuesday, for those of you that don't know what Pancake Day is. It's like so many days before Easter.
Yeah, it's the start of Lent, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, so Shrove Tuesday was this week. So happy Shrove Tuesday to everybody who celebrated / Pancake Day.
Yay.
Anyway, so the insinuation is that they want Serena to make them pancakes. So she does. And when Koen comes out, they're eating pancakes. And Amanda and Saul are arguing about whether werewolves could exist in space. And, like, apparently it's a reoccurring argument. And Koen tells Serena that they're actually working on a book about werewolves in space. But they've been working on the book for years. So, silly. Yeah, Serena gives him his coffee, and he goes to put sugar in it. But she tells him, oh, I already did that. So she's doctoring his coffee for him now. She offers him pancakes, and he declines. So he's back to saying no to her food.
Jerk.
Yeah. And Serena, like, jumps into the werewolves in space conversation and asks, why are there no were-butterflies or were-crabs? And they're all like, Serena, that's really weird. And they leave. Like, that gets them to leave the house.
So funny.
It is hilarious. Like, I love them. Not to necessarily together, but I just love them.
Yeah.
So Koen's plan, they go in the car and Koen is gonna drop Serena at Layla's for her appointment to get her progesterone shot. Because he has to transfer one of the vampire captives to Owen, who is Misery's brother. And Koen wants to talk to Serena before he leaves, so they go into the backyard of Sem's house. And she asks if she can speak first. And she tells him that she feels like she pressured him into having to take care of her. And she feels like she took away his agency and his consent, which we've sort of been saying.
Mm-hmm.
And he reminds her that, like, he's always known he was going to be an alpha, and he's had to deal with other kids. Like, he sort of had to worry about people doing what he wanted because he maybe accidentally asked in a dominant way. Or, like, he was worried he would ask girls out and they would say yes just because he's dominant and, like, the future alpha. So, like,
yeah.
He's sort of used to that sort of questionable consent piece.
Mm-hmm.
And he reminds...
Interesting.
Yeah. He just reminds her that, like, they're a different species from humans. Like, they're not gonna display typical human traits. So, like, they can't... Not all human characteristics can be attributed to weres. And he is, like, she is his mate approaching a heat. So their situation is complicated. So it's not as easy as consent or not consent.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, a part of me is like, yeah, but also,
Yeah. I think it's more of like this is explaining to the readers that this is the case. Which, like, it's just funny because we did have to have... And it's weird, too, because, like, first time I read it, I was like, she shouldn't be doing this, but fine. But when you read deeper into stuff, you're like, oh, shit. But that's like when we read Bitten and actually did it on the podcast. It was the first time we'd read it enough to be like, fuck, this is not...
yeah.
This is not great either. No. So it's like, it's yeah.
Yeah, because in Bitten, like, the first time you read it, you're like, well, that's hot. And you sort of get you sort of get blinded by the other stuff because you're so focused on, you know, the fact that he's like fucking her against a tree and it's hot and like they're into it and they both come, so you're like, well, yeah. And then it's not until you're like, oh, you do your second read through, and that's sort of what I love about what we do here, because it does allow for us to get that deeper, like, take that deeper dive into, like, well, did the author intend this, or how did the author see it that way, or like, what was the author trying to do here, and like make those parallels to society. Because the first time around you're just sort of reading it for enjoyment.
Yeah.
So it is nice to like get that deeper look into it, which is, I feel like, is probably why a lot of people have taken to annotating books and stuff, is because it does allow for that sort of deeper read through.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, so Koen just tells her, like, allow yourself some grace because this is a difficult decision, so like try not to feel guilty about it. And he also says maybe he should give himself some too. And he says that he could have, like, left at any time, but he didn't. Like, he had made his choice. And she's like, it's not fair that she's like, it's not fair that you have to be celibate. It's inhumane. And he's like, we're not human. Can't. And I find that they do that a lot. She uses that word inhumane a lot. And he reminds her, well, we're not human.
But it's also like, humans do this as well.
Yeah. So, like, is
this a comment on, like, you know, the pedophilia of priests, for example?
Yeah.
Like...
Or even on, like, celibacy culture of, like, not being with
like
anyone.
Incel?
No, not necessarily. I mean, like, celibacy culture of, like, that whole staying a virgin until you get married, or like not even kissing someone until you get married, and that sort of thing. Like, it sort of speaks to that a little bit as well, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So the reason he wanted to talk to her is he wanted to tell her, I guess, the reason why. So, like, the Northwest Pack is different than the rest of the packs. None of the other packs still have that celibacy rule. They are all mostly modernized and don't do that anymore, but his pack still does, and I guess he wants to sort of tell her the story of why. So he tells her that his mother was actually the last alpha, which is very great, progressive. Love to see a woman alpha.
Yes.
And his father was actually her mate, and that they met as teens and paired up and they were ready to, like, be together. And the previous alpha, so, like, not her, was challenged by this young 20-something-year-old, and that young 20-something-year-old won, but was a piece of shit. And about 2 weeks into his leadership, everybody was really scared because of how he was, like, running the pack into the ground. And he just wasn't doing a good job. So the mom stepped up and challenged this random guy and won. But at the time, she was pregnant with him. So, like, that's also, like, can you imagine being like, I'm pregnant, but I guess I gotta roll up my sleeves and challenge another wolf?
Take on the work, because everyone else is shit.
Yeah. And he tells her that the celibacy covenant isn't actually about sex. They don't want the alpha forming connections that might put that connection ahead of the pack, and the decisions that alphas make should always be for the pack. So she asks about, like, his siblings and parents and friends and stuff, and says, like, those are all connections that you have. Like, would you not put that connection above the pack? And Cohen's like, yeah, you're right. Like, that is valid.
Which I think we kind of brought up either earlier this week or last week, because I was like, he does love other people. Yeah. There are other relationships, yeah.
But I guess, given the, like, he has said multiple times, he would burn the pack. Like, he said it to a member of his pack, that if anybody mistreats her, he will literally burn the entire pack down until it's just the two of them left. So, like...
yeah, well, then he won't have to worry about the pack.
Yeah, but, like, would he do that with, say, Amanda? Like, if somebody was mistreating Amanda, would he do the same thing?
I fucking hope so.
I hope so, too, but I mean, I guess, like, is the connection... Like, I guess we don't have that...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think he'd burn the whole pack down. I think he'd fucking murder whoever was doing it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like, I do think he has stronger relationships with people than he's saying. Because I think he would... Also, I guess Amanda would attack whoever was doing it. But still.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's like, I recognize that those are all valid things, and that's initially why the Northwest Pack divided, because the Huddles, because, like, we've already discussed that the Northwest Pack is 5 Huddles surrounding a core, like a core pack, and they make up the Northwest Pack, all of them together. So the Huddles didn't approve of his mom having a family, and it's like, she already had it, though. So, like, what are you gonna do? Force her to kill them? Like, what are you gonna do about a well-established family? So they all still acted like a pack socially, but the Huddles sort of made their own decisions and didn't share information with each other and with the core, which is sort of what led to their downfall. And he tells her that he actually has a sister living in the South with her mate. So the plan was always for him to take over for his mom when he was ready. But then all the stuff with the cult happened. And then he goes into, okay, here's what happened with the cult.
Which is what Misery was about to tell her. And she was like, no, wait, I'd rather he tell me. And now we're finally paying off on that tiny morsel.
I'm glad, though, that he's telling her without her having to ask.
100% agree.
So Constantine told humans that they could become werewolves as soon as they took back their birthright, which is the Northwest Territory. And Constantine exploited the fact that the Huddles didn't communicate with each other. And he actually killed Cohen's mom. And then when the Huddle adults all got together to figure out what to do, they were ambushed. And, like, thousands of people died. Which is wild to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And he said that, like, him and his seconds, they all had to step up as teenagers to make sure that the cult didn't take over the pack. And then he also says that the reason Constantine was able to kill his mom is that they used his dad to lure her out. Even though she knew it was a trap, she still went to rescue her mate. And he knows now that, like, he would probably do the same thing. And she's like, can I be honest with you, please? And she tells him that, like, she likes him more than she likes anyone else. And when he touches her, it feels so right. But she forgets that he is the heart of this pack. And that every moment she relies on him, she is taking away from the pack. So, like, she's like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, I'm going to get the shot from Layla, and as soon as the issues with the vampire council are over and Anna is safe, she will leave, and they can avoid each other for the next couple of decades.
Why does he have to be in it for decades? Why can't it just be, like, 2 years, train somebody?
I don't know.
Fine.
And, like, I guess I'm making the assumption that Cohen doesn't like that. Even though, like, he told her the story to help her understand why they have the rule of the Covenant. But, like, it says that he's got empty eyes and agrees.
Yeah.
So, like, in my brain, he doesn't like that she's like, hey, I'll get out of your hair.
Yeah.
But I sort of, and it is, we see it in her personality. Like, remember at the beginning when she goes to fight Brenna, and her and Koen is like, if you can beat Brenna, then you can live on your own. And afterwards, she took that, she lost. She was just accepted it. Right?
Yeah.
So I find that this is sort of a part of her character is like, she's not going to try and fight for it. She's like, accepting that this is the way it is. I'll deal with it. I'll leave you alone. Like, she's not going to try and find a way out of it. She's not, like, begging him to make a different choice or, like, begging him to, you know, to be with her or anything like that. She's like, no, I'm going to get out of your hair. And I really actually love that about her.
Yeah. No, me too. But I do feel bad about it, too, and feel bad for her.
Oh, yeah. No, I feel awful that they have to go through it, but, like, I love that. I just love that she's, like, she knows that it's important to him, so she's putting it first.
Yeah. It does piss me off even more how everybody's fucking oblivious, though, to, like, how much she cares and how she realizes that they can't be together. Like, I'm like, guys, she knows this. Stop being so mean to her.
Yeah. So then we get, like, the epigraph is, it's odd what her absence does to him. She is missing, but fills every part of his life. So it's adorable. So he leaves her, like, in the backyard, and she cries for a minute outside, but then goes into her appointment. Before going inside, Saul is out there with a girl she's never met. And Saul's like, don't worry, I'll be waiting for you. Just come out when you're done. So she heads inside and knocks on Layla's door. And she hears a come in, but it's weak. And, like, she feels like something is off. So she reaches for her pocket knife, and she goes to, like, bring up her phone and call Koen. But she feels a stabbing pain in her hand, and someone says, I don't think so. And she turns, and it's Jess, the blonde girl. And I'm like, I don't remember Jess. When did we meet Jess? Because I don't remember her.
I don't know. I don't remember right now. Wait, 1 second. How many blonde people do you think are in the book?
Don't know. Because, like, just going through our document, like, it's nowhere else other than now. So, like, we don't actually talk about her before now. But, like, she's definitely mentioned earlier because somewhere. Like, I wonder, could she have been at the, like, one of the
people at her house?
Yeah.
No, we meet her at the beginning of this chapter. It says, she gives herself a few minutes to cry, then she heads in for her appointment. Saul's leaning on the car with a young blonde woman I have yet to meet. And then it's, Saul says, give me a second, Jess, and jogs over to her.
Oh.
So it's the blonde woman that's talking to Saul.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank God.
Yeah, we didn't meet her before in the book.
Okay, great. That solves it. How did I miss that?
Yeah, she was just outside.
Okay, anyway. So, yeah, so Jess the blonde girl kicked her phone out of her hand and, like, maybe broke her phone.
Great.
So then Serena, like, yells for Saul, and Jess is like, he's taking a nap.
Ugh.
And she tries to fight Jess, and she gets in some good jabs, because we already know, like, she's done self-defense, so she's not a terrible fighter. But then another were comes out of Layla's office and, like, helps subdue Serena. Then 3 more wares enter from that area, too. One of them is Layla, and she has a scalpel, like, held to her neck. And she isn't fighting or shifting or anything, so, like, Serena's like, something is off about it. And the ones holding the scalpel to her neck confirm that they sedated her. And they say, you have 2 choices, Eva. Stay quiet or they'll kill Layla. So she's like, well, obviously I'm going to stay quiet.
Also, she's not responding to Eva. Like, fuck off.
But they do call her Eva. So then they just, like, if they have a kidnap, like, they have a hostage, why do they then need to chloroform her? I don't know, but they do.
Yeah.
So she blacks out, and when she wakes up, her first thought is, I've been kidnapped before, so, like, this is nothing is new to me.
Great.
Like, this is awesome. You've been kidnapped so many times that you're just like, yeah, whatever.
What a sin.
So she wakes up in a bed in a cabin, but she's like, the one new thing is that there's no guard at the door, and the door is open. So she's like, oh. So she heads downstairs, and there's this older were lady down there who calls her Eva. And, like, the lady tries to be kind and matronly and tells her that, like, normally they have better manners than this. And, like, she's not actually their captive, and she can take one of the cars and just go on home, and that's it. And she's like, we did try and talk to you before, but, like, we weren't successful, so we had to resort to this. So, like, she's really trying to make it seem like they're not the bad guys here.
Yeah.
So she's, like, looking around the little cabin. There are 3 human women sitting on the couch in the living room. Like, they all sort of look similar, so Serena's like, oh, they must be 3 generations, like, of related women. And she's like, okay, if I can leave, then I'm gonna go, bye. And the woman stops her and says, like, don't you want to meet your only surviving family first? And it, like, sort of piques her interest a little bit, because, again, like, she doesn't remember her family, she doesn't know who they are. So, you know, and especially with the whole half and half hybrid thing, she's wondering who she is, I guess. So this woman, her name's Irene, hands her a photo, and it's of a woman, and she says, that's your mom, Fiona. And apparently it's one of many photos that she has of her and her mom together, separate. Like, she's got a whole bunch of photos, apparently. And Irene says, like, I know we're made to be the bad guys, but I'm not, like, trying to convert you or anything. And then we learn that Constantine, who was the leader of the cult, who led this, like, slaughter of all these adults 20 years ago, is this woman's older brother. So she is Serena's aunt, making Constantine her father. So, like, that's sort of our dun-dun-dun
Yeah,
moment.
really what? But we could have guessed it based on all the information we were getting about him.
It very much reminds me of City of Bones with, like, Valentine.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
Clary,
that's
right? Like,
that's a good point.
it is really drawn a parallel in my brain.
Yeah.
So she doesn't really want to talk about Constantine. She just wants to focus on her mom, Fiona.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Irene tells us that Fiona was born among the cult, and her family was devoted to what's called the favored, which is, I guess, what they call themselves.
Yeah.
And Irene tells us that Constantine was a hard-working man who had many women see to his rest and comfort.
Ugh.
AKA your typical cult leader who took advantage of all the young girls.
Yep. Typical piece of
yeah.
shit.
And she was like, oh, he was a good man. He didn't demand exclusivity. In other words, saying, oh, he was a great guy because even though he took many women to his bed, he didn't make it so that they had to only be with him. And of course that makes him a peach.
Great person.
Yeah. Gross. But apparently Fiona was loyal to him regardless. And, like, wouldn't take anyone else.
Yeah.
And said she was around 20 when Serena was born. So, like, I hate it. I hate it. I hate him. I'm so glad he's dead. And essentially, she keeps looking at pictures, and some of them have Constantine in them, and she, like, has the ick. She's, like, icked out by him, and I'm like, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But she also thinks that, like, her and Fiona look very similar. And she is crying looking at these pictures and just feels like her mom was manipulated by the cult, which is the case with any cult. And Irene just tells her, like, they've actually been looking for her. They didn't abandon her. You know, like, she wasn't left to her own devices on purpose. And she tries to make the is it Northwest? Or North?
I would say.
They're the Northwest pack, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I wrote Northeast for some reason, but... So,
happens.
They tried to make the Northwest pack to be the bad guys. And be like, oh, they took you away, and they took Constantine away from you, and, like, trying to sort of get her on their side. And she's like, why did they do that? And also, didn't Constantine kill thousands of their pack? And Irene is like, oh, well, Constantine won a challenge against Cohen's mom, and he's the rightful alpha, and, like, Cohen is a pretender, and he's not actually the rightful alpha. And she thinks that the pack is just pissed and wouldn't accept Constantine. And I guess Serena's like, you didn't go about the challenge the right way, though, because they used the dad as sort of bait.
Yeah.
So, like, they're like, you didn't go about the challenge the right way. You can't do that. And Irina's like, why? Why can't we do it? Who decided that that's the way, that there's a specific way you have to do a challenge? They're just, like, raging against all the rules.
Yeah.
And, like, who gets to choose what the rules are? And Irene even says, like, I don't understand why you don't see Cohen as your enemy. But digs in, oh, maybe it's because you're approaching your heat and you're not thinking clearly. And it's sort of like, girl, like, he's been nothing but amazing to her.
Yeah.
So, like, and you kidnapped her. I don't know. It just feels very like you're trying real hard. And Serena doesn't really understand how she knows about her heat and, like, because that's, like, a medical thing.
Yes. And nobody knew about it 2 days ago. She was dying. Yeah. And now everybody just knows. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. But apparently Jess has been feeding intel to the, like, she is actually one of the favored. And she is the one who delivered the necklace in the beginning. And then we learned that apparently her favored family died. And she was placed up for adoption within the pack. And was...
Yeah, which Cohen did say that any wolves that were found in the cult were put in the Northwest. So, yeah. That makes sense.
So she was placed with, like, a werewolf family, but she actually remembered her life as a favorite and, like, remembered her family. So, I guess has been, like, biding her time.
Yeah. Like, she must be older than Serena.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say by much. Like, if she was
Yeah.
still a child when she was put up for adoption, so.
Yeah, and I guess she could have met with the cult more recently and then developed a relationship again based on what she can remember. I'm just like, you really remember that
Yeah.
much of your life before you were.
Yeah, and, like, I wonder, like, if she's been doing that and going against the pack, like, how does she feel about her adopted family? Like, has she really been, like, holding on to her hate this entire time?
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah. Irene sort of, like, suggests then that, like, she doesn't have to get an injection from Layla, that there are wares here who will gladly service her. Yeah. But Serena's like, no thank you. And then Irene's like, thanks so much for being a distraction for Koen. And that, like, falling in love doesn't make people smart. And Serena's like, oh. She's, like, not happy about it. And, like, it's just, all these things that Irene is saying are really not helping her get on side.
No.
So, she offers Serena the opportunity to read the last letter her mother ever wrote. But for some reason, not yet. Like, go to your room for a little bit first.
Yeah, so weird.
So then the epigraph we get is, he worries not only about what will happen to her, but what he'll do to the world in retaliation. So, like, she gets hurt. Watch out.
Yeah. Fair. Love it.
So, Serena is, like, sent back to her room for a bit. And some girl named Nell goes with her, or Neely. I don't know what to call her.
Nell, I
Nell,
think.
N-E-L-E. Because
Yeah.
normally in my brain, Nell would be N-E-L-L. But we'll say Nell. So this girl Nell goes back with her. And she's starting to, like, feel shitty again because of the heat. And she asks if Nell had ever read Fiona's letter. And the girl's like, no. Fiona died before I was born. And says that Fiona actually died in the harrowing. It's what they call it. When the Northwest Pack came and, like, killed a bunch of them.
And they killed a whole bunch of the Northwest Pack. But it's like, that doesn't matter as much.
They gloss over that part. And, of course, like, it's a cult. So they're brainwashed a lot into the reason, like, why.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you know why the Northwest Pack came and attacked you like that? And she, like, her answer was sort of robotic. And she said they were growing in power and, like, the pack didn't like that. And even when Serena's trying to be, like, logical and be like, why would a pack of thousands be concerned of the power being amassed by a pack of, like, 100? And, like, no matter what she says, the girl, like, sort of brushes it off. You know, it's your very typical when you're talking to someone who doesn't understand what you're saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what they're arguing makes no sense. So, like, you know, when you have conversations with people and they don't understand what they're saying, and they're just, like, indoctrinated people. We've all had conversations with people like that, I feel like, who don't know what they're talking about, but say stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's sort of what she's doing. And she asks Nell if she believes scientifically that humans, like, can turn into wares. And Nell is like, oh, I mean, I read a book once. Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she's like, Serena understands that she's been indoctrinated into certain beliefs and, like, understands that, like, they probably were not educated the way they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
But Nell reveals that, like, she does understand that, but, like, just the fact that, like, they aren't told that humans and wares are biologically different species and incapable of turning into one. Like, that information is withheld from them. But now Nell knows it because she read a book she wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah. So Nell realizes that the group is unorthodox, but again, it's something that she's grown up with. It's all she knows. But she sort of adds, like, humans do weird shit all the time, too.
She's not wrong.
And, like, she is a human, but, like, she grows up. She doesn't sort of share human affiliation, right? But, like, she's like, do they not hoard resources and murder each other? And Serena's like, oh, yeah, they kind of do. Which is...
Everyone sucks. Which is That's weird. The point.
Yeah. Serena asks how many of the favored are left. And, like, she's trying to sort of grill Nell for information. And we learn that it's about 50. But they're hidden around because they don't want the pack to decimate them again. So they're sort of all scattered. And she tells Serena that they actually abhor the idea of violence. And it's like, your pack killed thousands of people. So, like, abhor violence, I think, is a stretch.
Yeah, I think it's just like, we're going to indoctrinate them with this, and then it's not true.
Yeah. But Serena's also like, I was kidnapped and drugged to come here against my will. So
yeah, that's not a great look, guys.
And she's worried that, like, when Koen comes for her, because she is under no illusion that he will come for her, she's worried that they're gonna hurt him. But Nell's like, oh, we had no choice in how to get you here so that you could learn all the facts. Because she was like, we tried to send that person before to come and get you, to bring you freely, and that ended up poorly, so, like, now this is our only option. They just wanted to talk to her. And then she tells Serena, like, you will always be one of us. So, yikes.
Yeah.
And she then says, like, the real reason why Nell is up here with Serena is to help her prepare for her heat by painting on the ceremonial markings. So, like, they're just really doing it up here. They're not taking what she's saying into consideration. And, like, Serena really doesn't want these ceremonial markings, but Nell sort of implies that Irene is going to be pissed at Nell if she doesn't get them. And Nell is still a child. Like, it's insinuated that she's only, like, maybe 15, 16. So
yeah, and she'll be punished for it, even though they abhor violence. What?
Yeah. So Serena's like, oh, I don't really, like, she doesn't want Nell to get hurt, like, she's still a child.
Yeah.
So it's this green paint, it leaves a stain, so Serena's like, yeah, fine. So a few hours later, she's back with Irene to read the letter, and, like, she is feeling like shit, and I wonder if that was done intentionally. Like,
yeah,
pushing...
They know how to manipulate.
Yeah, pushing it off so that she would read the letter when she felt the most like shit and, like, have her accept one of the wares to help her, like, because she'll be in an altered state.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's, like, feverish and cramping. And she said that the house had some new, like, were males in there. And they all smell putrid. And, like, she feels like she just needs to take a shower. But Irene's like, you need to make a choice from any of these men. And Serena's like, I just want to read the letter and go, please. So the letter is actually addressed to Irene, not, like, Serena. And it is written by Fiona, and it says it's been 3 weeks since they were separated. And they are on the run. Her and Serena are on the run with 4 other wares and set up in an old safe house. And she mentioned how, like, Constantine had said some prophetic words about, like, how they will inherit the pack or the territory or whatever. And Fiona was like, oh, I don't think that's correct. And Constantine blames Fiona for their failure and says, like, the reason we failed and are on the run is because you doubted me. So she's like, I feel like I owe it to him because I doubted him to stay with him. That's why I'm still by his side. Because I doubted him, and now this has all happened. So, like, you know, firmly putting the fault on the woman, even though it's the man who did the actions. So that's great. She also says that she regrets bringing Eve with them, and that Eve has withdrawn probably from the trauma of seeing all the blood at the battle because she was at the battle. And I'm like, wow, what kind of mother are you?
Yeah. Yeah, and it really reminds you of the prologue of the book and how traumatized the child was then.
Yeah. And, like, she also says that Constantine rarely has time for Eve, so she's writing to Irene to ask if she's in a safe place, if she can take Eve. Like, are you in a safe place? Are you safe enough where you could take her? And I'm like, your first duty should be to your child, not to your cult leader. Like, if you feel that she is in an unsafe situation and that she is not thriving, then you should say, Constantine, I love you, but I have to do what's right for our daughter, and I'm going to go. Instead of pawning her off.
Yeah.
And it gets worse, because then she says in the letter, if you are not in a safe place and cannot take Eve, she heard that the new Alpha has agreed to offer to spare the lives and give a place to any of the favored that were innocent in the massacre. So she's like, maybe he'll offer Eve clemency. So, like, she's like, if you can't take her, maybe the Northwest Pack, the pack that we've been against and trying to, like, fight with this whole time, maybe they'll take her. Not, maybe I will take her somewhere safe.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's stupid.
Yeah, but you also have to think, like, she's also a child, I guess.
Yeah.
Less so now, but she grew up in a cult.
I guess.
It's all bad.
It is. So she finishes the letter and Koen comes in then. And Irene is trying really hard to be, like, civil and, like, would you like some tea? And, you know, very, like, we're not the monsters, you are. And admits that Irene sent his location hours ago. So his hands are actually bound. Like, he's all tied up. And he's bleeding. And it's sort of like, is just, Serena's like, yeah, of course, like, they're gonna treat him like shit, and they're gonna beat him up and, like, hurt him, even though they're like, we're not violent.
Yeah.
And she's also pissed that he came alone. Like, he didn't bring any of his seconds with him. And so he's making the same mistake as his mom in her brain.
Yeah.
So they push him around a little bit. And Irene is like a bitch to him. But I guess Koen sort of beats up one of the male wares that was there. Even though he's tied up. So, like, showing that, like, he's not entirely powerless.
Yeah. And he's hot. And she wants him.
And Irene tells him then who she is. That she's Constantine's younger sister. And Koen is... sorry. Koen is surprised because she wasn't on his list of siblings. But she's like, yeah, I used to fly under the radar. So, like, they sort of kept her existence a secret. And that's when Serena realizes that, like, her father is the one who's responsible for killing Koen's parents and, like, thousands of other wares. And it makes her feel like shit. That, like, this is her family that has done this.
Yeah.
And Koen is sort of keeping his emotions closed off and being, like, cold. And she wants to apologize, but Irene sees that guilt in her. So, like, she must be just real easy to read. But so she sees that guilt and says, like, don't feel guilty. Your mom died 24 hours after that letter was written, and it was Koen that did it. And I'm like, so Koen was, like, going around killing people at the age of 15? It seems really young.
It does. But I guess all of the adults were dead. Like, wild. Yeah.
So, the little epigraph then is that she is meant for him, but they couldn't be more impossible. And I'm like, not really.
No. Like,
it's literally
fine.
As soon as you step down from being alpha, you can be together and it's fine. So, like, I don't say impossible is the right word.
No. We're not... I don't know if we ever get a conversation about, like, he's 10 years older than her. Or 9 or whatever. That doesn't matter at all. That's not part of the impossibility. When she was a kid traumatized and forgot everything, he was a 15-year-old killing.
Probably getting some trauma, too.
Well, yeah.
So Koen sort of, like, suspected, so I guess she's like, did you know? And Koen's like, yeah, I sort of suspected for the past couple of days. And, like, Irene is trying to put a wedge between them and being like, oh, he didn't tell her because he wanted to be self-serving. But Koen is like, no, I just wasn't sure and didn't want to tell her until I was. Like, but, like, very clearly Irene is trying to put a wedge in between them.
Yeah.
And Irene suggests that he recount what happened the night her mom was killed. So he does. And he tells her that he led every raid for the cult members and that he personally chewed Constantine's heart out.
Which he had already told her.
And he also said that, like, it is possible he killed her mother, but he isn't sure because Constantine shielded himself with so many women. And that he would send them ahead to distract them. So, like, if they are positive that Fiona was with Constantine the night they caught him, then absolutely 100% he killed her. And she asks, like... she asks, like, did you do it, or was it one of your seconds? And he was like, I'm the alpha, so all the decisions are my decisions, so it's my responsibility. So, like, even if he's saying, like, even if I didn't physically kill her, my actions and my decisions killed her, so therefore I killed her.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah.
I love the accountability.
Yeah.
Like,
valid point.
Yeah.
But it also, like, answers a question of, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, we don't want to open up the can of, like, which of the seconds could have done it. And then that be sort of a trail to follow. We don't want to, we want to shut that down. And, like...
Yeah, because, that changing any of her relationships with them would be so sad. Yeah.
So, I think it's good that he's like, it doesn't matter. Like...
Yeah, me too.
So he does remember a human girl hiding in the closet that night, and they brought her to a human social worker. And, like, this sort of part is a little bit weird, because she is angry, and she doesn't understand how he doesn't remember killing her mom. And he says, like, I'm not even sure that little girl hiding in the closet was you. But he's like, we killed so many and made so many orphans. So, like, that's why I don't know.
Yeah.
And her heart sort of, like, breaks a little at that. And, like, Irene is trying to work Serena up and get her mad. And, like, hands her little penguin pocket knife and is, like, gaslighting her to be like, you know, look what he did. He broke up your family. He doesn't even remember your mom, and like he killed her. He like she was innocent and all this and blah blah blah, and just really gaslighting her to like work her up. And I'm just like, this is going extreme.
But like, two things. One, you think her penguin knife that this guy gave her is going to isn't going to affect her in any way before she stabs him to death? Two, is she going to become alpha if she stabs him? Because she killed the previous alpha? Like, what is happening here? What are we doing?
I think Irene is psychotic, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
But like, even more so than that, it feels like she is going too hard too fast. You literally
obviously this is not going to work.
Like, you literally just met this person saying, oh, I'm your family, which is fine. But like, you legit think that she is gonna get so worked up she's gonna stab her, like, the person that calls her mate?
Yeah.
It ain't happening, sister.
No.
But like, yeah, so I think that was stupid. And for somebody who is supposed to be as intelligent as she is, I think that was dumb.
Yeah. You could have just kicked Koen out and been like, let's continue this brainwashing over days or weeks.
And like not send the location. Like, she brought him here the same day.
Yeah, it's not enough time for brainwashing.
No, it's not. But yeah, so she's like, oh, you should attack him and like we could be a family again and all this. And they sit Koen on a chair and hold him in place so that she can stab him more freely. And like, I guess they know that Cohen's not going to go against his mate, so like he's not going to do anything to stop her from stabbing him. And like, she is mad. Like, she does say she is angry. So she pretends that she's like grabbing the knife and she's going to stab him. And she says, I'm sorry, or something like that. But then instead of stabbing him, she cuts his ropes off of his hands and frees him. And that's where we stop this week.
I kind of wish it had have ended with her stabbing towards him and not get the like, what's she gonna do? Just for the end of the podcast this week, but it's fine.
I'm sorry. I can't help it where chapters end.
What? I thought you could.
But yeah, so like, we're sort of ending on a little bit of a cliffhanger. She cuts his ropes. I wonder what he's gonna do.
Lose his shit,
gonna
probably.
Kill everybody. As apparently he does, because he's... But, like, we have set it up for him to be this, like, cutthroat killer. Like, in the beginning, it's like, he does... He literally... You attack him, he kills everybody and puts their head on spikes. Like, he is ruthless. And I think we sort of forget that aspect of his personality. Like, we forget that part of him when he's being all cinnamon roll with Serena.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think it's...
Well, and I guess she's kind of forgotten it too, is the thing. And, like, we do need to remind her, because, like, if you're going to be with somebody, you need to love every part of them. And this is a part of him. Like, you need to get past his past before, in a book, I think, you can start the relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah. Good week, lots of information.
Yeah, a ton of information. We're finally getting down to sort of the nitty-gritty, like, of answers about who Serena is and all this stuff, and getting a little bit more about this cult.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway. Alright. Well, I guess we're going to wrap it up this week. So, if you want to get in touch with us about anything you heard in our episodes, or if you have any book suggestions for us, or you want to talk about Mate, or you want to suggest any werewolfy type things, like...
Or vampire ones. Looking for good vampire ones.
Please reach out to us by email at coffeeandcoread@gmail.com, or Facebook or Instagram at coffeeandcoread, and we are coffee.coread on TikTok.
So next week, we're going to be finishing Mate by Ali Hazelwood. We're going to read chapters 31 to the epilogue / the end. Make sure to follow along, and if you're enjoying our chats, don't forget to follow, rate, and review wherever you get our content. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you on the next page.